Today we make our very first stop at FSB Racing for the rendition of the Daytona 500. This is our first stop in their Triple Crown Series. The Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 will follow later in the year. When the smoke settles and the dust clears, who will be holding the Harvey J. Earl Trophy? Grab your favorite beverage and snack and strap yourself in. We're coming at you at 180 miles an hour plus on DRTV.
And we welcome you to DRL Network's live coverage of a Daytona 500. The first ever trip for us here on DRTV to the FSB Racing League. Thrilled to be here for the very first time, and what better way to do so? The season opener for the Cup Series, the Daytona 500, presented by FSB this afternoon. Live flag-to-flag coverage here of DRTV. All the bells and whistles, all what we normally do here, and for the very first time we have to showcase the excerpts of FSB and all the great stuff they got going on over here. Great afternoon, everybody. Thank you out there for everybody in the YouTube land for watching us here this afternoon, an afternoon rendition of DRTV. My name is Phil Lacasse, along with Todd Stanton, Joe Allen, and Mr. TV Time, Rich Patton, as always, in the DRTV control booth. And guys, we're going to be in for a long one here. 500 miles, 200 laps, Todd. The Daytona 500. Races don't get bigger than this. When you put those names together, Daytona 500 and DRTV, that's a first for us. And I think this is going to be one awesome time here this afternoon. And the very first trip for us here to FSB. It's quite an honor to be here.
Yeah, definitely quite an honor to be here at FSB Racing. It's been a long wait, and these guys are willing to put on one whale of a show. It's a long show here today. Like you said, 500 miles, 200 laps around the Daytona International Speedway. Just waiting to see what's going to happen here. A lot of good racers looking up and down this board, and star-studded field here, Phil.
No, it certainly is. I mean, the very best of the best they have at FSB. An endurance-style race for him here this afternoon. Something they're not typically known to do, but this is race number one of the Triple Crown for FSB, and we have a whole bunch of great stuff. You know, a great backdrop here. Thanks to Sam Young, the owner of FSB, for getting this, and special thanks to Isaac Johnson and Ryan Johnson. Did so much work behind the scenes to get us here this afternoon. So I think we're going to be in for a fantastic show here, Joe Allen. Looks like we have about 14, 15 cars are going to take the green flag this afternoon. 500 miles, 200 laps. It's going to be a long one, Joe, but I think we're going to be in for a good one.
Yeah, definitely. This track's proven to be multi-groove, provide some great racing in some of the shows that we've covered here over the last couple of weeks. So I'm excited. Very long event here at Daytona International Speedway, but some of the best drivers that we know in the community come over here to the FSB Racing League. A very core group of guys. So I'm excited to get this thing underway, guys, but let's go ahead and throw it down to trackside, and we're going to get the playing of our national anthem before the drivers fire these engines. So, guys, let's throw it down trackside.
And the playing of the national anthem, what better way to get us started here on this Sunday afternoon from a Daytona International Speedway here, the Daytona 500 being presented by our friends at FSB Racing. The first time for us, Rich Patton, we've ever come to the FSB, and you know, an afternoon broadcast for us. So not only get a long race, you know, to put it on, but I mean, it's a Daytona 500. It's cool to come over to FSB and see race one of the Triple Crown. I think we're going to be in for a great event here this afternoon.
Yeah, you couldn't have said that any better. A lot of excitement going on today. This is indeed a long race, 200 laps around this thing. These guys are running 1X tire wear today, so that means our pit window is probably going to be between 36 and 40 laps around this 2.5-mile tri-oval track. 15 drivers on the grid. As you can see, they're gridding up now. Going to be exciting. I can't wait to see once the green flag drops what these guys are capable of doing.
No, absolutely right. FSB's been, we can't start this broadcast without acknowledging, FSB been on the air here through YouTube for years. Thanks to Milt and to Greg and to Mark, they've done such a great job for FSB over the years to broadcast this great league. It's been around for such a long time, and we're very, very honored and humbled here this afternoon. The very first time for DRL over to the FSB Racing League, and hats off to these guys. An awesome event they're going to put on here this afternoon. 500 miles, the Daytona 500 here at the Daytona International Speedway. Todd Stanton, these cars are on the grid. They are getting on the ready. We're about to get the command to fire engines. So without further ado, sir, let's dive straight into the starting lineup.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Drivers have fired their engine down on pit road, and now for your starting lineup. For the Daytona 500 FSB Racing Style, starting on the pole out of Freeport, Florida, driving at number 55, we call him the Sidewinder, Scott Schroyer, and his dancing partner to the outside, driving at number 43, that's Rick Bascooner.
Rolling off today from row number 2, from Indiana, that would be number 59. That is Ryan Johnson, and to his outside in the 72, that'll be son Ryan Johnson.
Rolling off on the inside of row 3, that's the number 29 of Jeff Hale. To his outside, starting in that 6th position, he's piloting the number 38. That's Leo Kelly.
Next row back, starting in the 7th starting position, driving the number 80, that's Ed Fidley. And his dancing partner to the outside, driving the 019, that's Troy Higgins.
Rolling off from the 9th position will be the driver of the 333, that is Nick Fleck. And to his outside, aboard car number 40, that is Jim Christopher.
Rolling off in the 11th starting position, he's piloting the number 83. That's Steve Weber. To his outside in the 12th starting position, that's the 31 of Brad Odo.
Starting that 13th starting position, driving the number 18, that's Bill Martino. And outside of him, driving the number 6, that's Mark DeSenza.
And rounding out the field to be the driver of car number 21, that is Dennis Balzer. 15 drivers, guys, 200 laps around the Daytona International Speedway. Going to be a long one here. We thank you all out there today, this afternoon, for watching us in YouTube land. A great event we got here, the first time for the DRL Network over to FSB Racing League, and what better way to do so? The first of the 3 races here that make up the FSB Triple Crown. Race number 1 of the Cup season, the Daytona 500, guys. About to put this thing under the green flag. The van moving its way now through the tri-oval for the first time. And Joe Allen, let's turn the wick up on this thing. We're going to go back. We're going to go into green flag racing for the first time today.
Yes, we are. The van takes the sharp left-hand turn down pit road. Scott Schroyer, that 55, beautifully prepared red, white, and blue Budweiser machine is going to get us under green here as they cross the line. He's going to pull out to an early lead over the Johnson duo in the 2nd row, guys. And we've seen this track be real racy in some of the past races that we've covered over on DRTV that we've visited here over the last couple of weeks. So got to wonder how long it takes these guys to maybe get themselves 2x2 and see maybe what kind of show these guys put on. Scott, without his teammates, we're used to seeing him with the red line bunch over here, but Gary and Craig and Dakota Wilkins, they all weren't able to be here this evening. So Scott's kind of on his own out there, trying to fend for himself. We'll see if he can do anything. He's got the hard-charging Ryan Johnson, the 59, right on his bumper. See how patient Ryan decides he wants to be behind the 55, or if he's going to try to catapult himself out into the race lead.
Have to keep an eye on that. That 59, as you said, riding right in line behind our pole sitter, the 55 of Scott Schroyer, the 29 of Jeff Hale. He's moved his way up now from that 5th starting position. He's going to peek his way in that Miller High Life Chevrolet up to position number 3. And the 80 of Ed Finley, he'll move into position number 4, Todd, all glued to the low side. Isaac Johnson, the 72, he's dropped back to that 5th spot off of turn 2.
Yeah, down the back, straight away, these guys staying in lockstep one another, almost following right in the tire tracks of one another. You got, like I said, Isaac Johnson in 5th. Right now, 6 is Nick Fleck in that number 333, but jumping on the line is the 72 of Isaac Johnson there momentarily. He's opening the door for Nick Fleck. Fleck now down to the bottom side. Isaac Johnson all by his lonesome up on the top side of the speedway. No help. That's not going to be a good thing for the 72.
Now, 333 and Nick Fleck's going to move to the inside. He'll lay waste to the 72 of Isaac Johnson. So that's the battle for that fifth spot. Meanwhile, turning our attention back to the front as we got 3 laps up on the board. It's still Scott Schroyer, the 55, the 59 of Ryan Johnson. Starts to peek his way out a little bit, but, dropping now back to that race for the fifth spot. That 333, he's there, but that first car to the outside looks to be the 43 of Rick Piscona, the outside pole sitter. He's making waves in the high lane, Joe, toward turn 3.
Yes, he is. We see the high line finally forming, guys. It looks like most of the guys have made their way up towards the top. We see 5 cars on the bottom, about 5 or 6 cars up on the top. It's pretty much even through there as we got a car that got kicked down to the bottom. He's going to get himself back up in line. And it looks like that 59 of Ryan Johnson's going to edge out the 55 of Scott Schroyer across the line. Make your new leader that 59 of Ryan Johnson, guys.
Yeah, Ryan peeking out now for the first time to the race lead. That outside lane, Todd, starting to move its way forward just a little bit. The 55 of Schroyer, he's going to fight back on that inside. They are side by side, 5 rows deep down the back straightaway.
Yeah, just look at the momentum down the top side, on the top side, down the back straightaway. All the momentum built up on the top shelf of the speedway. Ryan Johnson, your current leader. Here comes Jeff Hale. He's going to do a ditch and dive move with the number 29 machine. He's going to take over the lead with the number 29. He's helping Scott Schroyer. Schroyer now to second. High groove failing just a little bit. Can they get the momentum back? Ryan Johnson up on the top shelf all by himself with the help of Rick Piscona, though, right behind him. But the cars on the bottom side have the momentum. Not as many cars up top.
No, not at all. The 80 of Ed Finley's been able to sneak by. The 333 of Nick Fleck. He's that 4th car, that blue car in the inside lane. He's marching forward, as is the 40 machine. Jim Christopher, also a blue machine there. Those guys moving on the bottom. That's side-by-side racing for 5th, Joe, as they head toward turn 3.
Yeah, we saw dead even lines about a lap and a half ago, Phil, with 6 versus 6, and it seems like the top line has just kind of disintegrated itself. Everybody's moved themselves back to the bottom. Maybe they decided that it was a little crazy to be racing that close to each other that early in the event, and everybody seems to kind of be settling down. Ryan Johnson, the big loser there, though, he took the chance with it, moved himself up to the top side, took the lead momentarily from the 55 guys, and then Jeff Hale, that 29, ditched and went back down to the bottom, and ever since, we just haven't seen the high line make its way back up towards the front. But one person who's been able to stay up there, we talked about him earlier, the 55 of Scott Schroyer, kind of all by himself out there. I talked to him down in the garage area before we got this thing underway. He said it was going to be real tough for him to stay up there without any teammates, but he seems to be doing pretty well right now. He started on the pole. He's running in second right now, kind of minding his own business and making the right moves to keep himself up there inside the top 5 so far.
Yeah, absolutely doing all the right stuff, as you said, to maintain that top 5 position. But everybody up to the front of the field, as you said, just holding down to that low side. Going to put 7 laps of 200 up on the board this time around. But Rich Patton, I just want to bring you into this conversation. It may be a little too early for these guys to start racing hard, side by side and leaning on each other. We got a lot of laps to go here this afternoon, a lot of pit stops left to make. And if you're going to win the Daytona 500, well, the first method is to finish the race.
Yeah, you couldn't have said that any better. And, like you mentioned, this is a long race. And one interesting thing that's going on that we don't normally see in our broadcast races when we go to, from different leagues to different leagues is the majority of the leagues are always running 2X tire wear, which means it's going to cut down on their fuel mileage. It's going to cut down on their tire wear and whatever. These guys are running 1X tire wear, which means we're basically going to get double the amount of laps we would normally see in a Daytona event, which makes sense since we're, running the full 500 miles. But that also means that these guys are going to have to race door handle, bumper to bumper for longer periods of time before they're going to get a break to get down pit road. So it's really going to be an endurance race today to see how these guys handle it. And I think you said it right, is, these guys have got a long way to go. And for now, I think they're just going to find a place to sit and hide. I don't think we're going to see too much aggressiveness until we get deeper into this event.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to see, guys, here. I mean, it's 200 laps, 500 miles in Daytona. We have 15 cars here that took the green flag. But I think a lot what we're going to see here, guys, I think you're going to see these guys log laps. I mean, that's basically what you're going to do here. You're going to kind of roll to the bottom and maybe not make an aggressive maneuver and try to click off some laps here, Todd. We got a long race ahead of us, and not going to be surprised whatsoever as far as maybe lacking the drama of these guys going out and racing side by side. In a race like this, you kind of almost expect they're just going to, ride in line and use patience and, get through the first couple of cycles of pit stops.
Yeah, it seems like what they're doing. The only guy that's really been out of line a lot lately has been the 72 of Isaac Johnson. Johnson right now trying to form that top groove once again with Mark DeCenza behind him, Christopher behind him, and also you got a few other guys. Troy Higgins, this top group starting to form and starting to gain a little bit of momentum on the top side of the speedway. Isaac Johnson now propelling himself up next to the number 31 machine as they're side by side coming off of turn 4 down through the triangle here as they come down through the stripe here to complete lap number 10 of 200 here at the FSB Daytona 500. These guys trying to make something happen on the top side. It may not be as much as later on in the going. This track has got 2 or 3 wide, and it's got 4 wide even sometimes. It gets kind of scary and hairy and all kinds of things, but we're just going to have to wait and see what's going to happen.
No, we'll absolutely have to wait and see, as you said. And so these guys are going to exercise some patience there, Joe. They're going to ride in line. It may not look as interesting as it is on the airwaves, but we had a long race ahead. And all chasing that number 29, Jeff Hale with the race lead. Scott Schroyer, the 55. Ed Finley in the 80. Nick Fleck and Isaac Johnson in that 72. That is your current top 5. But everybody, Joe, as we talked about, everybody just kind of minding their P's and Q's, riding in line. And I think the method of a 500-mile race like this is you got to log these laps. You got to survive a while. I mean, you're talking about maybe around a green flag pit stops coming up in about 20 laps. So you would think that the crowd may get split up a little bit, and it may be a time just to kind of run your own race from here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've touched on it. This is a 200-lap event. It's a battle of attrition, really. It's who can survive, keep their car clean, have some good pit stops, and be there at the end because, frankly, you can't win this race in the first 10 laps. You got to be around at the end to put yourself into position to actually go out there and win this thing. So not surprised to see these guys single file. I mean, this isn't a short 35% sprint race. That's 70 laps around here. I mean, these guys got to go the distance. So it's good to see some of them are, kind of experimenting almost is what it looks like, seeing what the top line can do, how long it takes you to actually move up and gain some positions up there. And, Isaac Johnson in that 72 really battling himself around there. He's been bouncing up between the high line and the bottom line, trying to get himself up front. I don't think he's very patient right now as far as just wanting to ride. He wants to go out there and race. He's been excited for this event for weeks when we first got this thing all put together. So I know he's out there trying to put on a show and enjoy it and kind of soak it in. So, but, it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of trust that's in the top line right now. We've seen it form, 4 or 5 times throughout the event so far, but guys just kind of bail on it, going back down to the bottom line where they feel a little more comfortable. So should be interesting to see if guys are willing to take more chances towards the end of the event, but completely understandable this early on in the event. Guys just kind of want to ride and make sure they're there at the end.
You got absolutely got to do so. Of course, here, DRTV's first trip to FSB racing this afternoon for the Daytona 500. I know Rich Patton has been busy, as you all can see here, and I see YouTube's been a buzz over it. The new scroller there we've been playing with on top of the screen, couple of different graphics tweaks there, and a lot of cool new looks. See the chat box certainly lighting up saying how much they like it, Rich, and that's a cool little feature there with that scroller. I'm sure you had some fun putting that thing together.
Yeah, there's quite a bunch of different layers involved in there, and I kind of made a mistake earlier telling the guys what the columns are for, but as you can see now up on the screen, you can see the drivers' names and numbers. There's 3 columns out to the right of the numbers. That first column is actually their starting position as it is logged in my system, so that kind of tells you where they're at in position compared to where they started at. The next column over that right now is all zeros. That's going to show us how many times they've went in the pits. And then, of course, the column on the right for each grid is going to show us their actual status. And if they're pitting, that'll change to pitting. If they are out of the race, for whatever the game tells us for, whether it's broke engine or retired or whatever, it'll show us that as well. So I thought it was kind of an interesting aspect to give to the race fans. So that way they didn't have to wait for that scroller to come by and show them what's going on with their favorite driver.
Yeah, what a cool touch there. And DRTV, as we always do, trying to push the envelope and give the viewers a little bit more as far as information to process, and doing absolutely that as we pay attention now back onto the racetrack and what's going on there, Todd. A couple of hairy situations here just about a lap ago. The number 019 of Troy Higgins, he's been running that outside. The 333 of Nick Fleck got a little bit loose on the inside. They made a little bit of contact. That made for some hairy moments there off of turn 2 about a lap and a half ago.
Yeah, Troy Higgins really working over the top side of the speedway. The 72 of Isaac Johnson all over his rear bumper. This the top group is starting to make some headway up there, Phil. And he was almost up next to the 80 machine Ed Finley, and not able to do so here. It looks like the top groove looks like it hit a brick wall there momentarily. But like you said, Phil, there was almost contact made between the 333 machine and the 019 machine. It got really, really hairy there for a second. I thought something was going to happen, but those guys, the drivers that they are, they kept it straight, and it was fantastic moves by the 019 and the 333 to stay off one another.
No, absolutely right. And Troy Higgins is the history lesson that came from us this afternoon, thanks to Sam Young sending some stuff over for us. Troy Higgins, the 2016 Triple Crown champion, so he comes into this race as a defending Triple Crown at 3-race series they do over here at FSB, and I believe that's a race in Daytona, Indianapolis, and I gotta give an Isaac again about the third one there, but a Triple Crown series, the Coca-Cola 600. Thank you guys. Didn't want to make sure I didn't represent that wrong. But the Coca-Cola 600, those 3 races make up the Triple Crown over here at FSB, and Troy Higgins is the defending champion, so you can look for that 019 before this thing is out to find his way to the front of the field. Guys, 17 laps up on the board. That 019 currently in position number 5, Joe.
Yeah, saw the 019 up there. You touched on him a little bit earlier, and I just want to go ahead and, give a little bit of a spotlight, because I know this is near and dear to Phil's heart as well, guys, but that 43 out there is running a Dallas Cowboys scheme. And those of you that know me and Phil know that me and Phil are diehard Dallas Cowboys fans, and I know we're probably going to get a little bit of crap in the YouTube chat box for it, but I have no problem taking the heat for it, because the fact that he's running the Cowboys, he's my favorite guy in the event right now. I'll say it.
Well, Joe, I'll go in that one. 2 Cowboys fans up here in the booth. Who would have thunk it? All the hate that we usually get throughout the football season, but we can celebrate what was a pretty good football season this year. But the 43 of Bisconnor there, Rick Bisconnor, I mean, that's a beautiful looking car there, Todd. I know you're not a Cowboys guy, but you got to applaud the paint scheme of that 43. That thing is one sharp looking ride.
The pace scheme looks good. I'm not sure about the choice of things on the car. Again, they beat us in 2 Super Bowls that we were a part of in the 90s, and of course I'm a Buffalo fan, so I'll get some flack in the YouTube chat box for that, because we haven't won anything big in a long time. But battle for the lead momentarily here, coming down the trial. Well, the 019 of Troy Higgins is right there side by side with Jeff Hale. Hale has had no challenges as of late, and now he has a challenge in front of the 019 of Troy Higgins. They are side by side through 1 and 2. They're getting ready to come down the back straightaway. Momentum is going to carry on the top side of the speedway there for Troy Higgins. I almost guarantee you the 72 of Isaac Johnson, one whale of a push down the back straightaway, put Higgins into the lead.
Yeah, Higgins, the 019, going to clear the 29. Do you wonder if he bails on the 72 and goes down to the bottom? No, Isaac Johnson still all over his bumper. Scott Schroyer trying to get back to the 29 of Jeff Hale. Just seems like there's a lot more separation on the bottom line than there is on the top line, guys. And I see 8 cars up on the top line now. So the lanes have shifted. We went from a primarily dominated bottom line to guys moving over to the top, and the 72 of Isaac Johnson finally getting himself up towards the front. He'd been trying hard through the entire event, moving back and forth between lines trying to get there. As they say that now, though, the 29 of Jeff Hale fighting back on the bottom. He's going to pull up to the door of the 72. They're going to drag race down the backstretch, but still, it's all Higgins in the 019 out the front down the back straightaway, Todd.
Yeah, interesting things going down the back straightaway here. Mark DeSenza making some moves in that number 6 machine. Now Isaac Johnson drops down to the bottom side. He's going to leave his dancing partner up on the top side to try to get to the lead himself in that number 72 machine. Drops in front of Jeff Hale. He's going to be able to do so, I believe, right down through the trial. He's going to be able to lead this time by leaving the 019 of Troy Higgins up on the top side, but that top side is not going to go away. There's all kinds of help up there, and it looks like Troy Higgins almost able to get up next to the 72 once again.
Yeah, he certainly did. That 72 with the race lead now peeking out. That 29 of Jeff Hale is going to move on forward. Troy Higgins, that first car in the top lane, he's going to be drop kicked back here just a little bit. Looks like it's Scott Schroyer, the 55. He's that third car in the inside lane. They're going to be side-by-side racing. Can that outside line do anything with them there, Joe, as they hit turn 3?
Yeah, like we said, it's been a battle between both lines. We saw the bottom line break up when Isaac Johnson and the 019 of Higgins got themselves up there. It was primarily a dominated top line. Now we're seeing the bottom line be dominated. As we say that, 55 of Scott Schroyer made a huge move back to the outside. He's going to get in front of the 019 of Higgins. Isaac Johnson out in front with the 29 of Jeff Hale all over his back bumper. So let's see if Scott can make some moves with the top line. But right now the bottom line's got the majority of the cars, Phil. So I'm not sure what they can do, but as I say that, the 55 is going to pull up to the door of the 80. We're going to see if maybe he can propel himself down the back straightaway and maybe get up to the 72 and battle for the lead again.
Yeah, well, I think the high lane definitely has some momentum right now, Joe, as they head down the back stretch. But I was going to throw the point out there a minute ago when these guys were all up to the top side. You know, maybe the setup there was burning off the tires a little bit, Todd. Maybe that was what was drifting these guys up high. But just as we say that, the popular line now once again appears to be the bottom. So there certainly is not any distinct group there as these guys juking and jiving for the race lead down the front stretch.
Yeah, Scott Schroeder got one whale of a push there from Troy Higgins. Higgins right all over the rear bumper of the 55. It looked like the 29 of Jeff Hale. He was going to try to make a middle move in that number 29 machine. Not going to do so there, but he dropped back in line behind the 72 of Isaac Johnson. But this is top groove right now. The 55 of Scott Schroeder working over Isaac Johnson down the back straightaway. And look at the momentum. It's all kinds of momentum. We're going to say that all evening long, or well, I should say all afternoon long. Not used to an afternoon broadcast here, but the 55 of Scott Schroeder right now is currently leading just barely. Isaac Johnson fights back on the bottom side. Now neither car given an inch. The grooves look pretty much even right now.
Yeah, and the success to super speedway racing is really how you can judge the momentum, and when you get the runs, take the runs and use them. And that's why a lot of these guys that win these super speedway races and a lot of the events we go and cover, I mean, we see a lot of the same guys up front in the majority of these events. Is some of these guys just have it figured out. Take the momentum and run with it. And Isaac Johnson and Scott Schroeder, two of those guys that really know how to handle super speedways like this. They can judge the momentum, use the momentum to their advantage, and go out there and do that. As we say that, man, these guys, Phil, I'll tell you what, these guys are pushing each other hard. I saw the 29 of Jeff Hale glued and locked to the bumper of the 72 of Isaac Johnson going down the back straightaway. So these guys aren't any slouches out there. I'll tell you what, they may seem like they're riding out there just trying to bide their time, but they're pushing harder than, you know, just about any other league that we go and cover at Daytona. I mean, these guys are getting after it, and we're only completing lap 25 at 200, but they're looking like they're racing, you know, for the last 5 laps of the event right now.
No, and they're certainly getting after it here through the first 25 laps as a top lane, trying to make something happen. You know, the best of the best over here at FSB, but, you know, anytime you come to FSB, these guys certainly thinking of their good friend Pinky. Jim Scharf, who was, you know, badly wanted to be a part of this field here this afternoon at FSB, and unfortunately dealing with some health issues, and Jim not able to be here this afternoon. But on behalf of all of us on the DRL network and all the buddies over here at FSB, Jim, get well soon. They hope to see you back on the racetrack, and we certainly hope to see you again here soon, Jim. And get well soon as we pay attention to a Daytona 500. Brought to us this afternoon by our friends at FSB there, Todd. Isaac Johnson, the 72, has the race lead, but that outside lane is starting to march a little bit. Schroeder is on the move with helps of Higgins. They keep inching up a little bit and a little bit more every time, so I think it's only going to be long before we see that battle for the lead down the backstretch.
Yeah, definitely not going to be long before these guys are able to pull up alongside of them. Green flag pit stop's going to be coming up shortly too, Phil. I'm saying about 12 to 13 laps away from those green flag pit stops, but we're going to start seeing them soon. So how much separation are we going to have? It's going to be interesting to see what these guys are going to do when they come down pit road. Who's going to be with who? But right now, Scott Schroeder starting to build up more momentum on the top side once again with Troy Higgins right behind him. He's able to pull up alongside the 29 of Jeff Hale down the front straightaway. You got also up on the top groove, Mark DeSenza working there. He's in the 6th position right now in the car number 6. So these guys working in lockstep with one another, but that bottom groove right now, in the middle portions of this corner, is ahead of them. But then when you go down the straightaways, like you said, the momentum on the top side, the 55 of Scott Schroeder, they're able to inch ahead of the 72 of Isaac Johnson and the 29 of Jeff Hale. But then you go back into the corner, and of course, the bottom groove is going to prevail just a little bit once again. And these guys fighting tooth and nail here for positions, and it looks like Schroeder is dropping back a little bit more there into the corner. May have lost some of his help on the top side as the 019 once again slams the 55's rear bumper there of Scott Schroeder, trying to get back up towards the front of this field. And it's interesting to see these guys racing really, really hard here early on in the going, but it's awesome to see multi-groups and these guys giving each other all kinds of things.
And you got to think about this, Joe. You know, as we're going to approach, you know, we're quickly approaching 30 laps. That first round of green flag pit stops may not be too far in sight for these guys. You know, you see them out there too wide, starting to move around a little bit. But how much do you think these guys are, you know, forward thinking out to that first round of green flag pit stops? And what do you think you're going to do as far as strategy on that first call?
Uh, Especially with the 1X tire wear, I mean, you're not going to have a whole lot of wear with 1X, and your fuel mileage is kind of, catapulted out there. And looking at this being 12 or so laps away from when our fuel window opens, I would imagine that's probably where it's at. Right now, me personally, I'm looking to get as many spots as I can to put myself up towards the front of this field for pit stops, and then move my way down to the bottom and stay there. Regardless if cars move to the top side or not, I want to put myself on the bottom and then really prep myself for pit stops. But I think, guys, especially with the 1X wear, you can possibly see some no-tire pit stops with just 2 cans of fuel. But with the timing and how long it takes you to be down on pit road, Phil, I would, me personally, I'd take 2 tires at least, just because you're going to have to fill this thing full of 2 cans of fuel anyways. It's not going to really, cost you any time putting 2 tires on it. 4 tires might be a little excessive. I know some guys would rather have 4 tires, but I don't see tire wear being a big deal in today's race. But I would definitely take 2 tires just to be safe, and you're not going to lose any time when you have to fill it full of fuel anyway. So at least 2 tires, I think, is going to be the strategy call.
Well, that's the strategy call there he comes up with there, Todd. But, you look at it. We have 15 drivers on the racetrack, all part of this lead pack that makes up this entire field. We know what we're going to do as far as strategy. As far as we're going to take tires, no, we're going to get this thing full of fuel. Now we talk about having a dance partner. You come to a place like Daytona, you certainly, you can't afford to go out and do business for yourself. So can you afford to come to pit road by your lonesome and risk losing the draft? Or how important is it going to be to have a dance partner in a place like this today?
Extremely important to have a dancing partner. You got to have a friend out there, and even to the bitter end. I mean, if you guys got a 10-car pack towards this bitter end of this race, you got to have a friend out there. You got to have somebody that's going to push you. You can't do it all by yourself. It's a proven fact. I mean, you could use the car here and there and try to get to the front, but most generally, nobody is going to go with you if they don't want to pair up with you. They're not going to pair up with you. But it's very important to get a partner to race around the super speedway. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens here with these guys, because like you said, you got to nail a pit stop. Then you can find your dancing partner afterwards. But I wouldn't say I will go on and come in with a whole pack here and come down pit road, and then maybe find my dancing partner afterwards.
So as these guys start preparing for their first round of stops, Joe, I'm seeing on the legs of Troy Higgins, the 019, he was trying to make something happen in that top lane. He was currently in that 7th spot. He was able to charge all by his lonesome up around to that 5th position, but everybody glued to the low side, probably thinking of that, that forward thinking to that first round of green flag pit stop. So Troy trying to make something happen, but I think with everybody glued to the bottom side, I don't think that top lane is going to be the place to be right now.
Yeah, I don't anticipate seeing very many guys going back to the top lane now. We're closing on pit stops. These guys are probably going to ride until we get there. As I say that, the 31 dances up the hill just a little bit. Looked like Higgins was going to try and go with him, but elected not to and came back down to the bottom, Phil. But the problem with the top side is when you go up there, especially when we're getting close to pit stops, I mean, all these guys are going to be on different strategies as far as when they come. If some guys are saving fuel towards the rear of the field, they may be able to stay out there for a lap or two longer than some of these guys that have been running up front that have been in that clean air where you waste a little more fuel. So you want to position yourself down to the bottom, because if you get yourself lockstepped up onto the high side and you have guys underneath you and you have to come down that time, you're either going to cause an accident trying to force your way down there, or you're going to miss pit road altogether, and then you run the risk of running out of fuel. So some of these guys that are still making moves, like Higgins, he went back to the outside. Looks like he's all by himself, and he's already cleared the pass on one car. He's going to shoot, or I thought he was going to shoot himself back down into line, but he's going to charge and try to get after the 40 and see if maybe he can get himself even more spots. But it's all about strategy play. I think being on the bottom is the place to be. If it were me at this stage, we're 6 laps from opening our pit window at least, I would just hang out on the bottom and ride and just really start getting ready and, getting in that mindset that I have to come down pit road. I got to hit my marks. You don't want to speed down pit road, especially with, a field of 15 cars where you're so reliant on the draft. If all these guys can stay together, a mistake on pit road is going to be very costly. So I would definitely be getting into the pit road mindset right now.
And I think that mindset certainly is creeping into Troy Higgins' mind in the 019. He lost about 3 spots there. The 6 of DeCenza went on passed by. The 333 of Nick Fleck also worked his way around, as did Scott Schroyer in the 55. So the 019 may be thinking about All right, there we go. I think we got this all back rolling there. A little bit of technical difficulty there out there in YouTube land. We apologize for all that, but I think we're all back live on the airwaves here. Great job to Rich down there in the truck getting everything, back all worked out. Just technical difficulty here this afternoon as part of a Daytona 500. The first trip for us here to FSB Racing League, the Daytona 500 this afternoon. Still a lot of racing here left to go now, guys. Working lap number 45. And Todd, these guys have come to pit road for the first time. A green flag round of pit stops. All clean and green, and the field broken up a little bit, but for the most part, everybody down there was incident-free.
Yeah, everybody was incident-free down there on pit road. 2 tires was the call for the first pack, 4 tires for the call for the second pack. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down there. Can this second pack catch them? And I believe they can. Isaac Johnson relinquishing the lead there. He dropped back to the 5th position as the second group is starting to catch them.
Yeah, that second pack, as Todd said, is starting to run them down. Scott Schroyer there, 6th. Ryan Johnson, 7th. Rick Bisconnell, 8th. Those guys, we all got fast hot rods. But it's the fast 5 broken away here, Joe. Jim Christopher, the number 40. The 80 of Ed Finley. The 29 of Jeff Hale. The 6 of Mark DeSenza. And the 72 of Isaac Johnson. Those guys have broke out about 2 seconds over this pack. They're all riding single file. So it's going to take this second pack here to have to keep that thing glued to the bottom. And they're going to all depend on each other if they're going to make this train for 5 and expand this thing out to 10 cars. So they got a lot of work left to do.
Yeah, they do, but I'm watching the intervals between the 2 packs, and I think we covered it. I think that first pack took 2 tires, and the second pack took 4 tires, and I was listening to the 55 team radio communications. They were saying tire wear was phenomenal. They elected to take 4 tires because it was early in the event just to see what the difference was. But last time around, they were 2.73 seconds behind the pack. They shrunk that interval to just under 2.5 seconds, down to 2.37. As we come across the line this time, I'm getting the 55 is now 2.11 seconds behind. So they're cutting off a lot of time. They're all staying single file, trying to get back to them. I give them another lap and a half or so before they catch the tail end of the draft of that front 4 breakaway, basically, and they'll be right back there with them. So as long as this pack of 8 cars in the back continue to keep themselves lined up single file, I think in 2 laps we'll probably be back to a 10-car field, Phil.
And I think a couple of laps away, I agree with you, Joe. I think we're going to see that as you can see those guys. You look out the front windshield of the 55, those guys starting to get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So this second pack, Todd, they're going to have to lean on each other, but they got plenty of time to run these guys down in that interval. As we get toward lap number 50, it's getting a little smaller and a little smaller, and I think before too long, this group of 5 may turn to 12.
Yeah, 5 about ready to grow to 12 here. So that second pack is actually starting to catch them here. And they're going to have a full head of steam. Where are they going to go? Is it going to be the top side, or are they going to slow down just a little bit here and stay on the bottom? I believe if I was the leader of that second pack, that number 55, Scott Schroyer, I'm catching them in a good clip. I'm going to dodge right to the high side and try to get around some of these guys, carry that momentum. But it looks like Scott Schroyer decides to stay down to the bottom side in that 55 machine, checking up that second group. So it's going to be interesting. These guys are all staying on the bottom.
Everybody glued to the bottom of the racetrack, but the question's going to be, Joe, when that pack all becomes 12, who's going to be the first driver on the line? You can't imagine with the amount of momentum these guys are going to have that these guys are just going to maintain their stead and ride around in line. I know that they're chasing down a lap car. That appears to be the 18 of Bill Martino, who's going to fall 1 lap in the rears. But these guys now all sprinting down the backstretch, Joe, and who's going to be the first one pulling on the line?
Yeah, I fully anticipated to see the 55 of Scott Schroyer maybe duck out of line and use all that momentum. I mean, they caught that pack so quick. I thought that they would try to take the run and go with it, but just, unfortunately, they decided to stick in line, and that surprises me. I would have used the run personally, but Scott, content with running right there in the 6th position on the bottom, maybe trying to see. I'm wondering if maybe the 72 of Isaac Johnson will try to maybe pull out, maybe make a move to get himself and maybe try to work the high line. He's got the 59 of Ryan Johnson, his father, 1 car behind him, behind the 55 of Scott Schroyer. So maybe those 3 guys try to link up together and go somewhere. But right now, it's just a single foul parade down on the bottom. Everybody's kind of playing follow the leader right now. So wonder how long these guys try and stay single file. I'm not entirely sure.
Everybody there is still going to be glued to the bottom of the racetrack. All chasing the 40 of Jim Christopher, the 80 of Ed Finley, the 29 Jeff Hale, the 6 DeSenza, Isaac Johnson, the 72. That's currently your top 5. 6th is Scott Schroyer. 7th is Ryan Johnson. 8th is Rick Bisconner. 9th is Steve Weber. Nick Flett currently in the 10th spot aboard the 333. 11th is Troy Higgins. 12th is Brad Otto. 13th off the lead pack there is the number 38 of Leo Kelly, the 21 of Dennis Balzer. He's out there 14th, last car in the lead lap, and Bill Martino is going to round out the field in 15th. He is 1 lap in the rears, past the 50-lap marker here now, guys. So we're making way here this afternoon. Caution-free so far in the Daytona 500. Now 14 drivers. It looks like the 18 of Martino has had to pull that thing behind the wall, looking like some kind of difficulty there. But 14 left on the racetrack, and starting to get hot and heavy there, Todd, up near that middle of that pack as they head toward turn 1.
Yeah, definitely. The 72 peaked out of the line there. You're trying to get around Mark DeSenza. Now here comes the 29 of Jeff Hale to the top side. These guys in lockstep on the top side of the speedway. I'm seeing these guys hit the apron there. Oh, that's rough there. Almost in the middle groove there. Mark DeSenza. Now we got a 3 wide down the back straightaway. Ed Finley and DeSenza and the 29 of Jeff Hale. The DeSenza was the meat in the sandwich there momentarily. 3 wide. Finley backs out, lets DeSenza back in line. Now Isaac Johnson trying to go to the middle in the 72 machine, trying to leave Jeff Hale out to dry.
Yeah, Isaac Johnson made a bold move down in the middle, tried to leave Jeff Hale, but Scott Schroyer in the 55 committed to that 29's bumper. The 019, he's committed to the 55. Isaac Johnson going to try to find a hole on the bottom, which he does, but wow, that was exciting racing down the backstretch, guys. Holy crap. They made 3 wide work, and then they looked like they wanted to try to go 4 wide as we say that. The 43, he's going to jump up in front of the 29 of Jeff Hale. Jeff Hale's going to bail on the top line, or try to. He's going to try to duck his 29 down in front of the 72. That's not going to happen. They're going to move their way back up to the top line, guys. A lot of separation between the bottom line. The 43 and the 29 are going to try to get themselves up towards the front. They're going to pull right on the door of the 6 of DeSenza.
Yeah, they've got to that 6 car of DeSenza, as you said, but they can't quite make that run all the way up to the 40 for Alito. Maybe they do this time. Off the high lane, here comes that 43 of Bisconner, that 55, the Schroyer, the 29 of Jeff Hale. Those guys all in there, guys, racing for the race leading. I think at the 43 of Bisconner, give him the race lead at the line there as they hit turn 1.
Bisconner now to the lead there in the number 43 machine, the 29 of Jeff Hale. Down to the on the top side of the speedway is the number 40 machine, now falling victim to what we call the DRTV aliens that show up every once in a while and abduct the cars out there on the speedway. And of course the 40 falling victim to that. Unfortunately, he was having a good run. Hopefully he can make his way back inside the server. But right now the battle for the lead is heating up once again. DeSenza down on the bottom side in that number 6 machine. The 43 of Bisconner on the top side. He's trying to door handle here down the front straightaway. I believe we're going to give it to, that was too close for me to call, but DeSenza actually led that time by in that number 6 machine. What a great battle between the 6 and the 43 up front.
Putting on some great racing here. 50 laps in, 56 of 200 up on the board. And what great racing these guys are putting on as they head off of turn 2 and down the backstretch. It is Mark DeSenza in that number 6, the 43 of Rick Bisconner in that top lane. Looks like as they hit turn 3, Joe, the top lane getting the advantage. But as we've seen here at Daytona for the last couple of weeks here, as a DRTV residency here, we finally get to wrap that up here this afternoon with the Daytona 500. But we've seen so much racing at Daytona where it appears to be when you get to the entrance of 1, the entrance of 3, the high lane seems to assert itself forward. But as you move through the middle of the corner, the inside lane comes to life. So what lane do you think is the dominant of these two so far?
Honestly, I'm an advocate for the top lane. As we say that the 43 bails on the top lane, goes back down to the bottom, so I wonder if he tries to pull back up there on the backstretch. He does, or it looks like, yeah, he does. He goes back up there, but personally, with all the racing that I've done at Daytona and Talladega, which is, similarly set up as far as grip levels goes, I think the top line is the place to be. But the problem with the top line is you got to be able to run it with guys that you trust and are committed to it. You got to have guys that can get on each other's bumpers 4 cars deep, trust that they're not going to wreck each other, and you can really make it work even against a line of 8 cars on the bottom. If you have the right pairing of cars on the top, it really is the place to be, and as you continue to add numbers to it, it continues to get stronger because of the momentum that they're able to carry up there. So while the bottom may be the place to be, strategy-wise, if you're trying to work your way, for pit stops and whatnot, as we say that the bottom line actually disintegrates as Hale and the 43 move themselves back down to the bottom. But, I think the top line, honestly, is the better groove, but it comes down to having the right people and the right pairings and combinations up there to make it work.
What are you thinking here, Todd? As we've talked about, that right combination is going to be what propels you forward, but are you prone this way in now, just approaching the number 60 lap marker? Are you wanting to drive up to the top lane and make this thing too wide and maybe risk something happening? Or are you at this point with so many laps here to go? We're outside 140 laps left to go in the Daytona 500. Do you want to just ride that thing in line and make sure you save that equipment to the end? What do you think we would do?
I'm gonna try to lead some laps here. I'm gonna try to keep my nose clean and keep myself out of trouble here. But I kind of like that top groove and staying up top there and trying to make that work. It's a good time. Like you said, it's only 59 of the 200 here as we come down the back straightaway. It's a good time to try out your car and feel what kind of runs you're going to have, what kind of partners you're going to have. So we're going to have to see what happens with these guys. Who works better together.
All right, so we watch the field as they head toward turn number 1 and 2. Some behind-the-scenes communication going on here that you hear off air, as we often do up here in the booth, is we kind of update each other what we're seeing out there on the racetrack. So to give you the best picture and the best flavor of what we can give you here, and it's a long race this afternoon, so certainly have to rely on the communication of the four of us up here to make this thing go around. But the outside lane looking to be the place to be right now, is they're going to catch lap traffic. The 38 of Leo Kelly, the 21 of Dennis Balmer guys about to go 1 laps in the rear. That makes a hairy situation for these guys up front, Joe.
Yeah, guys scattering all across the racetrack trying to get around these lap cars. I saw the 21 dive all the way down to the inside. The 43 just about clips that red and white lap car that we see on the screen there. He goes down to the middle. They're going to put him back to the rear of the field. So guys scattering all over the racetrack. Not a lot of driver communication out there as far as where guys were going. That looked a little hairy there for a couple seconds, but everybody continues on and continues to move forward. We see guys kind of flirting. I see the 019. He's looking like he's trying to flirt with the outside line, but he ducks back down in line. He's that third car on the inside, tucked up right behind the bumper of the 72, Isaac Johnson. And we've seen a lot of Isaac Johnson up towards the front, and we know he's one of the faster cats out there at these super speedways, Phil.
Oh, Isaac's fast wherever you put him, but he certainly gets around these super speedways well, and no shock at all to see him up in that third spot. As the battle now looks to be around for that fifth position there. The Biscayner in the 43, he slid in a high lane. That's allowed Desenza and the 6 to sneak on there by Todd.
Yeah, Desenza is able to sneak on by. He is now running in the 5th position in that number 6 machine. Still, meanwhile, back up front, and I want to cover up front because these guys are staying down to the bottom, glued to the bottom, just logging laps. We're on lap 62 200, coming down the back straightaway once again. Jeff Hale is your current race leader. The 72 of Isaac Johnson, second. Third is Troy Higgins in that 019 machine. Fourth is Ed Finley in the number 80 machine. Fifth is the number 6 of Mark Desenza. Seventh is Rick Biscayner in that number 43 machine. As now he's back to the top side. He's trying to make something work here, trying to get around the number 6 of Mark Desenza, but nobody to help him. Here comes Scott Schroyer. Schroyer now moves into that 7th position or 6th position. In that number 55 machine, Ryan Johnson working the bottom side in that 59. He's trying to make some headway. The number 31 right there on the bottom. So the 43 of Biscayner now all dropped quite a ways back. It's almost like almost to the 10th position in that number 43 machine. So no outside groove forming yet. These guys just logging laps on the bottom side.
Yeah, and we don't really see a dominant car that's been able to stay out front. I mean, Jeff Hale in the 29's been up there quite a bit. Scott Schroyer, when he can get up there in the 55's been up there, and the 72's been up there, but haven't really seen the dominant car that's gotten out front and has been able to stay out there and log a bunch of laps out there. It's been kind of dicing and shuffling between lines to everybody wants to get out there and lead a lap right now. And, you know, we've completed 63 laps in this event so far, all green flag racing from the Daytona International Speedway. So we could be closing in on another round of pit stops here within the next 20 some odd laps or so, guys. So we could see a mixed play of strategy do this again. We could see cars that maybe took 4 tires the last time they were down pit road, maybe look at taking 2 tires this next time around. But and it all comes down to who you pit with and making sure you're on the same page as the guys that you're coming down with, because if you go down with a group of cars and you're the only one to take 4 tires, you're going to be in trouble because you're not going to have any help anymore. And as we say that, looks like we're going to have a battle for the race lead. The 72 Isaac Johnson looked out there, dove back down in behind the back bumper of the 29 of Jeff Hale guy. So I thought we were going to have a battle for the race lead there, Todd. And as I say that, DeCenza in the 6, he's gonna pull out a line to try to get around the 80. He's not going to have any help. The 55 of Scott Schroyer is going to bypass him, put that 55 up into the top 5 again.
Yeah, now Scott Schroyer to the top side, hoping the number 6 of Mark DeCenza is going to be able to be there. The 43 is down here, and now he's back up to the top side. Visconer is now up to the top side of the 6 of Mark DeCenza. Now Scott Schroyer goes back down to the bottom. Nobody wanting to be up on the top side of the speedway.
Yeah, it's starting to kind of get out and get double file again here, but as we say, that looks like everybody's going to kind of set themselves back in line and get single file. I know the 43 back there trying to make something happen. Only 3 cars up on the top side, though. But, guys, we've been this is, a hell of a race so far that these guys are putting on over here. First time DRTV has visited the FSB Racing League. Great chance to come over here and kind of broadcast our stuff, and these guys are putting on an awesome show for all of our fans out there. But Phil, I know these guys gave us a little bit of background information on the league, some history, what it's about, who the admins are. So how about you give our viewers out there a little bit of the history of FSB and what it's all about?
Well, absolutely, and special thanks to Sam Young for sending this press kit over to us this morning and giving us quite a backdrop of the things that go on at FSB Racing. Originally the name of FSB is actually Fresno to Shell Beach Racing. Was created by Jim Ray and some friends in March of 2003. Jim envisioned a place where fun, competition, and sportsmanship would be for all, and it certainly is anytime you come to FSB. Sportsmanship-based racing is the key to Jim's success with FSB Racing, which has won 30 half-year point seasons for multiple series since 2003, all scored and archived to this day, which is an amazing feat right there. Jim's simple motto, you can always hit drive again tomorrow. This is just a game. And that is just, that's a great credo right there. Jim Ray been around here for a long time at FSB. Retired in 2016 from the league business and has handed the reins over to Sam Young to take the reins. And Jim, Sam has done a great job taking over for Jim. FSB has been around for a long time, has a great long-standing reputation in the NASCAR Racing 2-on-3 community. Sam Young's goals taking over FSB, well, certainly just to take the place of Jim Ray, who has been so vocal and a big part of it for a long time, and just keep the FSB recipe for success continuing to grow and holding on to all the traditions that all these guys at FSB have. FSB Racing is certainly a club. They have 63 members, 13 of whom volunteer in various capacities as admins, broadcasters, and scorekeepers. The staff over here at FSB, Sam Young is the promoter and owner. Jim Ray still certainly a member at large. The chief admin is Doug Tevick. Admins, Derby Don McCorriston, Doug Tevick, the FSB Monday Cup admin. So much great stuff. All these guys over here at FSB do such a great job. Find these guys at fsbracing.com. Be a part of this great league. They've been around for so long there, Todd. A great, outstanding group of guys. They've been at it for quite a long time.
Yeah, I definitely have been at this quite a long time. I remember early in my racing years here in NASCAR 2003, I heard about FSB. I never thought I could ever make it over to FSB, but I watched a lot of the races. They had a lot of broadcast races going on all the time, and I used to watch all the drivers out there and watch what kind of a league FSB was. And it's one of those things I just enjoyed watching their broadcasts and maybe learned a thing or two throughout my sim racing career through FSB. And these guys put on one whale of a show, and it's showing it here tonight as these guys too wide again, high line and bottom line all working in lockstep once again. And it's been a pretty good race so far there at the Daytona International Speedway. FSB is putting on one whale of a show here. These guys drafting together so far, caution free, 70 laps in of 200.
70 of 200, caution-free, as you said, and now a new race leader emerging as they hit turn number 3. The 55 of Scott Schroyer, our pole sitter, has once again propelled his way forward with help of Jeff Hale on the top side. Rick Viscona, the 43, that Cowboys Dodge right there, that third car in the top lane. Isaac Johnson trying to pull that lane forward in that low side, that number 72. He has Troy Higgins there. 2 wide racing, Joe Allen. Could you have imagined it? 70-plus laps, all green flag racing, and these guys still tightly knit in a pack. 11 drivers strong, all within 1 second of the lead. It is certainly anybody's race from here. But now we said in the back of your mind, we're probably about 10 laps away for our next round of green flag pit stops. But did you imagine from here 70-plus laps and seeing racing just like this? This is outstanding.
I'm blown away. I'm more than impressed with what these guys are doing over at this league here, and this just shows the caliber that FSB has in their league as far as drivers, and it shows the standard that they set. I mean, we're coming around to complete lap 71. These guys have been racing like there's been 5 laps to go left in the race for the entire race. 71 laps, and we haven't had a caution. And we've had our scares, believe me. These guys have been 4 wide at one time. They've been 3 wide. They've been running 2x2 for the majority of the race. I mean, these guys are just going out there and putting on a hell of a show. And all the guys out there, that Sam Young, all of his administrators, they should be damn proud of the product that they've put on. And we're only a fourth of the way through the race so far. So I am completely impressed, and I can't wait to come back over here and hopefully do more shows for these guys in the future if they want us to come back, because the racing that they have produced is just phenomenal.
Oh, it certainly has. And as Todd alluded to over the years, and I'm paying attention to the YouTube chat box, I see Sam is out there engaging. I see the defending race champion of this race, the dog John Palmer, has joined the chat box. I also see Milt Minter Jr. out there. We know Milt, he's been broadcasting at FSB for many, many, many years. He's done such a great job for so long putting this league on the airwaves, and we're just thrilled here, a part of DRL Network. Our very first trip to FSB, and is paying homage to what these guys do and trying to do our spin, put our showcase on it this afternoon. And what better way to do so? The Daytona 500. Is there a greater race in the world than the Daytona 500? Well, these guys at FSB, they hold the tradition and the prestige of this race like no other, and these guys are certainly putting on one whale of a race here. 11 drivers all competing in this front pack for the race lead. Door-to-door racing, Todd, for the lead. Isaac Johnson, the 72. Scott Schroyer, the 55. Almost leaning on each other a little bit down that front straightaway.
Yeah, definitely door-to-door here right now. The distinct advantage coming down into turn number 1 is the 72 of Isaac Johnson. Scott Schroyer right now, the 19 almost up into the side of the 55. Scott Schroyer. A lot of close scares. These guys running really close together, but these guys giving it, they know where the breaking point is, basically. The 19 right there running in second, so the 55 of Scott Schroyer also trying to battle back on the high side. He has help in form of the number 29 machine of Jeff Hale. They're trying to make that top side work, and it's just interesting to see this bottom group. Ed Finley up the track just a little bit, and that number 80 machine, but these guys working really well together. Even on the bottom group, these guys staying off each other. Great racing down here through the triangle. Isaac Johnson going to lead that time by the 19 running second. Third should be Scott Schroyer. Fourth, the number 80 Ed Finley, and rounding out your top 5 right now, the 29 of Jeff Hale.
But 29 has been certainly fast. One guy I've been keeping an eye on, he's at the back half of this pack. But the 59 of Ryan Johnson, he started this race third this afternoon. He's been back in that low lane, just kind of lugging laps, not putting himself in any kind of adverse position, keeping the fenders on that 59. And we've seen Ryan race here on DRTV a long time. He's one of those guys who's just going to take care of his equipment, Joe. He's going to make sure he sees the finish of one of these things. And he's a veteran of the racing over here at FSB. He's used to these long endurance type races. So anybody knows how to get the job done and make this checkered flag happen. I think we're going to see the 59 of Ryan Johnson. He's going to be a player before this thing's all done.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson, no stranger to victory lane here at the Daytona SRA track. I believe just a couple weeks ago in one of the Clash races that he ran in at a different league, he ended up taking that thing to victory lane. So definitely no stranger as far as coming out here and winning races. And, you said it best. He can certainly come out here, save his equipment, be competitive. One of the veterans over here, definitely capable of winning races. So good to see him having a good run. But I'll tell you what, these guys are racing real hard. I've been watching before they got split up, the 55 and the 29 at Jeff Hale. Scott Schroyer and Jeff Hale been working real well together all evening. And it's dangerous being locked to somebody's bumper going through this trial. I personally have turned a couple people doing it myself. But those guys had bumpers locked like 3 straight laps. As we see contact down the short straightaway here, that was almost a big accident. They somehow kept it straight, so that was phenomenal. That was contact between the 43 and the 31. They continue going straight, but going back to it, the 29 and the 55 locked each other's bumpers through the trial like the last 3 laps when they were hooked up and together, and to think that those guys somehow kept it straight is impressive. I mean, I'm impressed by that, because every time I try to do something like that, I usually end up turning somebody coming out of the trial. So that's some skill from both Scott Schroer and Jeff Hale to be able to do that. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, just going back there, just about a couple of quarters ago, contact between the 31 of Brad Otto and the 43 of Rick Bisconnor. That made for some trying times there. Can't believe the 43 able to keep that thing glued to the floor, Todd, and keep that thing pointing in the right direction. For the amount of contact you saw there, cannot believe these guys didn't break loose. Fantastic job by those guys.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic job by the number 43 machine. These guys, I'm waiting to see who's going to peek out of line. It looks like the 019, as soon as I always say something, that 019 now peeking out of the line, they're going to the top shelf of the speedway, the top, trying to get somebody to work with him. Troy Higgins now up alongside the 55 of the Sidewinder. Scott Schroer not able to do anything this time by coming out of 4 down through the trial. I believe you're going to see him maybe come back down into line, maybe not. He's got a little bit of help from that 43 of Bisconnor. He's trying to work now. Bisconnor going to leave him. Looks like he's going down to the bottom side. He's going to try to get around the 019 machine maybe. No, he's going to think better of that. So these guys confusing me just as much as they're confusing themselves out there on the speedway. They don't know who's going to go with who as of right now. They're just trying to figure out who's going to work with who. Down the back straightaway once again now. Bisconnor out of line with the 019 machine once again. Trying to work over the top side of the speedway. Now up alongside of Scott Schroer. Now able to propel in front of Scott Schroer in the 55 machine.
And the 019 trying to move forward. As you said, he's up to that top side. He's pulled alongside the 55. Can't make the pass happen through the middle of the corner as they get the momentum of the low side off the corner. So that's going to put the 55 back up in front of the 019. That's going to bring the 31 of Brad Otto into play. He's going to bring that to the low side. He's going to clear the pass for the 019. So as we've talked about all afternoon long, Troy Higgins trying to make that top side happen, fellas. And so far here, I heard a little bit of race chatter here a little while ago. Nobody seems to be committed to wanting to run the outside lane and stay on the outside lane. And I think that's a byproduct of exactly what we're seeing here this afternoon.
Yep, it just comes down to kind of what we covered earlier in the event, Phil. Some of these guys they're afraid to go up there and stay committed to it. But, I mean, the high lane definitely has the grip and the speed up there to be competitive. It's just a matter of getting the right combination up there to make it work. And I know some guys in the chat box had their opinions on it as well. It also comes down to having trust in the guys that are below you to not, slide up the hill and ruin the momentum of the high lane too. So it goes both ways. I mean, the guys that are running 2x2, you got to be able to kind of navigate your way, when you're running both of those lines and give each other plenty of space to make it work. So, I'm hearing race communication chatter too. We're looking at a couple more laps before we should be seeing some of these guys come down for green flag pit stops. So that would probably be why we really haven't seen the top lane here in the last 3 or 4 laps or so. Some of these guys are getting ready. They're getting into that pit stop mentality, moving down to the bottom, positioning themselves and getting ready to dive off the racetrack here and get down pit road in the next couple of laps.
I think everybody being cognitive of that situation may be coming here as we're now 200 miles in, all under the green flag conditions. 82 laps of 200 up on the board. Been a great race over here. The very first time for the DRL network over to FSB Racing, and what a better way to showcase it here this afternoon with the running of a Daytona 500. As we said, 200 miles in, all clean and green thus far, awaiting a second round of green flag pit stops we're going to see this afternoon. The 72 of Isaac Johnson is your current race leader, with the 80 car of Ed Finley currently second, the 29 of Jeff Hale third, the 6 of Mark DeSenza fourth, the 55 of Scott Schroer, he was clocked fifth last time by. Troy Higgins, the 019, currently 6th, to 7 of Brad Otto is 7th, or the 31 rather is 7th, the 59 of Ryan Johnson is 8th, the 43 of Rick Bisconnor is 9th, and it's Steve Weber in the 83. That is your current top 10. The 333 of Nick Fleck, he's the last driver on the lead lap in that lead pack in the 11th spot. Leo Kelly, the 38, 1 lap down, 12th. The 40 car, Jim Christopher, He had an alien abduction happen here a little while ago. He is 11 laps down, currently in that 13th spot. Believe he may be trying to get his way back onto the racetrack. The 21 of Dennis Balzer, he's retired from the event. He's going to finish up this afternoon 14th. And Bill Martino, great to see Bill back on the speedway with us. It's been quite a while since we've seen him on the racetrack. He's going to finish up 15th, as that's a full field rundown here past the 200-mile mark in Todd Stanton Pit Road. It's a busy place, everybody down there.
Yeah, as I'm watching these guys come down pit road, the 31 pancaking the inside wall there. That's going to create a little bit of damage for the 31. I know Joe's got somebody right there as they're getting ready to come down into their pit box.
Yep, I'm with the pole sitter right now. The 55 is Scott Schwer. He comes to a stop in his pit stall. Right sides are up on the 55. That first can of Sunoco racing fuel is going into the left side of the car. Right side is down. Crew guys look like they're coming around to the left side. Nope, it looks like it's going to be a two-tire stop for the 55. He's going to be down and away. He's going to come out and see if he can get clear of the 72 guys. So 2 tires for the 55 of Scott Schroyer.
2 tires for the 59 of Ryan Johnson. Johnson pulled down into pit road. He got 2 right side tires. He is down and away. He joins the field.
Looks like it was just 2 left side tires for the 80 of Ed Finley on this side of pit road. 2 left side tires full of 2 cans of Sunoco racing fuel. The 80 car of Ed Finley, guys, down and away.
DeSenza stayed out there for an extra lap in that number 6 machine. He's getting left side tires put on the number 6 machine. DeSenza only left side tires for that number 6 and Sunoco racing field, and he's down and away.
Peeking out to pit road, 1 lap down to the field was Leo Kelly, the 38. I was down in his pit stall. Right side tires and that 2 tires to call, full of Sunoco racing fuel. Leo Kelly, 1 lap down, guys, but it's a long race on the Daytona 500. That Chevrolet is down and away.
Yes, it is, and I believe that's probably going to cycle us around for our completed pit stops here. I think, depending on how this works out, we see cars coming back up onto the racing surface, getting back underway here. Momentum's going to carry. Looks like the 6 of DeSenza went down by himself. He's going to lose a lot of time on this front pack. We see the 40. He's getting put even more laps down. He was fortunate of an alien abduction earlier in the event, but Scott Schwer in the 55 going to retain the lead here. Looks like we're going to have a pack of about 7 or 8 cars if those back 3 can get caught back up here and keep themselves up there. Not sure if they have the momentum to do it, though, but looks like we're going to have about a 5 or 6 car breakaway of the lead pack, guys, so a lot more separation under this last round of green flag pit stops. See the 59 of Ryan Johnson. He's fallen 6 seconds off the race lead. The 31, he hit the wall hard on his pit entry. He's fallen 6 seconds off the lead. So a little bit of separation, guys. We were expecting to see it. It took 2 pit stops, but these guys have gotten spread out now.
Well, they certainly have, and I'm seeing 2 drivers just off the lead pack. The 6 of DeSenza, the 83 of Steve Weber. If they have a saving grace there, guys, the 40 of Jim Christopher, as you said, 11 laps down to the field. Well, he's right there in front of those guys. He's going to help pull those 3 guys, and before we know it, I think we're going to have a lead pack of 6 cars. That's going to shrink, that's going to balloon, I should say, to about 9 cars. I think those guys have their Todd. So the 40 of Jim Christopher may be a saving grace for the Weber machine and the DeSenza machine right now, is that's helped them guys all catch that lead pack.
Yeah, it definitely helped Mark DeSenza catch the lead back here. Now back to the tail end of that pack. So DeSenza, that was his saving grace, was that number 40 machine. Even though he was 11 laps down, at least he was nice enough to help the number 6 of DeSenza get back up here and be able to jockey for the lead. It was we do have some communication down from Rich as I'm sitting here trying to think here. But Rich does have a replay pulled up and ready here for the contact for the number 31 down there on pit road out of Fresno, California. Brad Otto in that number 31 machine. Rich, take it away.
Yeah, we're going to keep our eyes on the 31. That's a blue and white car. Don't mind the bar up on top. We'll get that straightened out as we get further along in here. But we're going to keep our eyes on the 31 as he comes into the pits. We'll run this through slow motion. Looks like everybody's braking hard coming into the pits. He is the first blue and white car. He jumps on the brakes really hard. That's going to send the rear end around loose on him. He smacks it head on into that inside wall, getting into the pits. Lost quite a few spots on there. I'm sure he's going to have a little bit of damage. These guys are running moderate damage, so it's probably not going to kill him too much. But it's definitely not good to take a hard lick on the nose of these cars, guys. Back up to you.
No, certainly not a good idea to hit the nose at all. That's going to, send the 31 of Brett Otto. It's off that lead pack. He finds his way down back there with the 59 of Ryan Johnson, who had hiccups on pit road. Both those drivers 10 seconds behind, currently running in that 9th and 10th position respectively. It's an 8-car breakaway, 9 if you count that 40 machine there, Joe Allen. 9 cars all in a tandem, 8 on the lead lap, so we're approaching the halfway mark, about 10 laps away, and these guys all, no worse for the wear, all having clean racing, and looks like they're starting to get back at it too wide as they hit turn 3.
Yes, they are. They're starting to get dicey and racing again as we see the front 6 here pulling out of line. The 29 of Jeff Hale trying to make something happen. He's going to take the run, shoot up to the top side. I see the 80 is going to go with him as well. 29 going to try to go back down to the bottom. The 80, that's Ed Finley. He's going to shut the door on the 29 of Jeff Hale, and that's going to stop all the momentum. Scott Schroyer's looking in the rear window going, wow, this is fantastic. You guys keep doing that, and I'll keep staying out front here. So I'm sure Scott's not caring about them racing too much back there. He's in the catbird seat right now.
And if you guys could only hear the off-air communication just between the 80 and the 29, I heard, the contact was close. Oh, they're going to wreck. No, they didn't wreck. And that just shows a testament to the talent and the skill of what these guys are doing out there at Daytona today. Great job driving by these guys. And that's a great battle inside the top 5. The 29 of Jeff Hale's on the high lane trying to make something happen. He's got the 019 of Troy Higgins shoving him through that outside lane. They're going to clear the Finley machine. Now they're going to turn sights to the 72 of Isaac Johnson, Todd. That's going to be side by side for that second spot in the turn 1.
Yeah, Jeff Hale on the top side of the speedway. The number 29 machine was able to pull up alongside of Isaac Johnson there momentarily, but now Ed Finley with the bottom side working really well together. He's going to move into third. Looks like Jeff Hale still hanging on to that 4th position. These guys on the bottom trying to capitalize. It looks like that's number 6 of Mark DeSenza peeking in there. He's going to be able to peek in and try to take over that spot from the 29 of Jeff Hale, but he's not going away very fast. He's on the top side of the speedway fighting door handle to door handle with the number 6 of DeSenza coming out of turn number 4. We are caution free less so far. You have 91 laps coming up on lap number 92 of 200, but these guys battling it out here on the top side. But here comes the 43, so it looks like the top group kind of stalling out with Jeff Hale trying to keep it working, but it's not going to be able to do so as his dancing partner now ditches him down to the bottom side. The 019 machine getting around Jeff Hale.
And the 43 of Boscano is going to roll up the speedway, but that's going to allow the 019 of Higgins, the low side. He'll creep his way forward. Believe that's going to put him up to the 4th spot. He's got a tremendous run on the 6th, Joe, down the backstretch.
Yeah, the 019, he's all over the place. He's going to get a huge run on DeSenza. Try to get around him. Don't know if he's going to be able to make the pass. It's going to depend on the 43 going with him, which he does. A little bit of a high line forming again, guys. I saw this last time around. It looked like the high line tried to form, and then guys bailed on it as they came into the trial. Looks like the same thing might happen this time. Go from having a potential 5-car high line to guys bailing on it, and you get hung out there with 3 cars, and it's just an uneven groove right now. This 43 bails back down to the inside. It's like these guys can't determine who should lead the line on the outside and who should be tucked up behind each other. So that's why we're not seeing the high line form right now. These guys just can't make up their minds on who they want to have lead the line and lead the charge. So they keep kind of jostling back and forth between each other, trying to figure out who's going to be the lead the lead car for the line on the top side, and it's just allowing guys like Scott Schroyer and the 72 Isaac Johnson down there on the bottom, those front 2 cars, just kind of riding out front, looking in the mirror, loving what they're seeing.
The 019 machine still trying to work over the top side of Troy Higgins. Higgins working on the top side of the speedway, the number 43 on the bottom side here. The top group trying to get it working on the top side once again with the 29 of Jeff Hale up top, the 43 on the bottom side. But these guys right now logging laps once again here. A lot of them staying down to the bottom side of the track. And like we were saying early on in the broadcast, a lot of these guys trying to log laps. It is a 200-mile It is a 200 lap race, 500 miles here around Daytona. So a lot of these guys logging laps, and it's been good racing so far. So it saw multi-grooves. It saw 2 and 3 wide. It also saw 4 wide at times, as Joe has hinted on. It's just one of those things where these guys trying to log laps, they don't want any serious incidents. I think a lot of viewers should take note there, Phil, is this racing's been good here.
Oh, this racing's been outstanding, and it's been all caution-free, almost 250 miles in, 95 of All right, back with you here at the Daytona International Speedway. Feel like we're doing network TV this afternoon with these extended pauses and whatnot. As you see out there, anytime you watch a NASCAR race, you get about 5 laps of green flag coverage and about 5 laps of commercials sprinkled in. So we apologize to all our viewers out there, and especially the guys over here at FSB Racing for the technical difficulty this afternoon. Definitely not like us for a long broadcast like we have here this afternoon. Now past the halfway mark, 108 laps of 200 on the board, awaiting around a third round of green flag pit stop, guys. These guys have been caution-free for now 108, put 109 laps here up on the board when they hit the start-finish line. Our current race leader at the line, the 72 of Isaac Johnson, the 019 of Troy Higgins, a 55 of Scott Schroyer, guys, right there in that third spot. And Tonnet's going to be side-by-side racing there for about that third spot. The 80 of Ed Finley into the fray there as they exit turn 2.
Yeah, definitely side-by-side racing for that third spot. We lost the number 29 of Jeff Hale. The Aliens have abducted Jeff Hale. Hopefully they'll spit him back out, but he's going to be many, many laps down. Tough break for the number 29 of Jeff Hale, but a good racing between the 80 of Ed Finley there, Troy Higgins momentarily. Here comes DeSenza back down to the bottom in that number 6 machine. The 019 of Troy Higgins stepping up on the top side here, and he does not have any help. Here comes the 333 machine. That is Nick Fleck. He is, I believe he's a few laps down in that 333 machine, or maybe even 1 lap down. But he's still up there with this lead pack, hoping maybe to, because these guys do race back to get the yellow flag. If a yellow flag does quickly fall, can he get around all these guys? Because there is no lucky dog here. But can he race back and get one of his laps back the hard way? But it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with that 333 machine. Fleck trying to muster this top group with the help of Bisconer in that number 43 machine. But here comes 019 firing back down on the bottom side. The 019 of Troy Higgins. He's getting around Nick Fleck. These guys jumbled up just a little bit, but these guys are staying on the bottom side. But here comes Troy Higgins. Now back to the high side. He's going to be side by side with Mark DeSenza.
Yeah, he's probably been the most exciting driver on the racetrack today to watch, and that, of course, the defending Triple Crown champion over here at FSB, Troy Higgins, the 019. We've seen him pass cars on the bottom, now back once again up to the top lane, trying to make something happen up there. He's got a little bit of help just behind there, the other blue car. It looks to be the 6 of DeSenza. Those guys trying to make something happen as they go forward, but inside lane starting to prevail. Bisconer, the 43, he's going to sneak it back to the inside. Also the 83 of Steve Weber. He's just at the back half of that pack. Not looking as a way too much of wanting to race with these guys. He's currently in the 7th spot. But if there's a driver out there, you give the Soldier a Long Hair Award today. We playfully call it the DRTV alien abduction. We saw the 40 of Jim Christopher just about a half hour ago fall completely out of this race, pulled the car back to the garage area, lost all connection with the race server. Well, guys, he's out there still parading around the racetrack. He's 11 laps down in that 13th spot, but he has got that lead draft all in tow, guys. And if there's a good hands award today, that number 40 of Jim Christopher, it's still a long race here to go, guys. We got 88 laps to go here at the line, so he's got a lot of time to make up some of these laps, and he may knock on the door of a top 10 finish if it all falls his way, Jared Joe.
Yeah, he might. It's going to depend on some of these other guys having some problems. We reported earlier the 29 of Jeff Hale abducted by aliens. He hasn't made his way back onto the racetrack yet, so he could potentially fall into the clutches of that 40, and that'll propel him up into another position if Jeff Hale doesn't get spit back out and put back onto the racetrack. So unfortunate for him, but yeah, like we said earlier on in the show, guys, race of attrition. Some guys have some unfortunate luck and circumstances that plagues them, but you stay out there and continue to run and do what you can do, and hopefully hope that the cards fall your way a little bit, and he might be able to propel himself into a top 10 finish here, which would be great for what had happened under the circumstance with him. But, back up to the race lead here. Scott Schroyer was up there, lost all of his help. He's fallen back into the I believe the 5th or 6th position, and he just hearing a lot of team chatter between him and his crew chief and the spotter. Not happy. He's just doing everything he can with the limited amount of help that he has, and he's having to race real hard to keep himself up there. He's back in the 7th position, but guys, Isaac Johnson, he's doing everything right this afternoon so far. I haven't seen that 72 drop outside of the top 5 since the green flag dropped, and he's been running up in that 1st or 2nd position after 2 rounds of pit stops, and he just seems to be doing it right, parading around the field out in front of the 80 car of Ed Finley.
He's certainly doing all the right things, as you said. He's been one of the strongest cars on the racetrack. Unfortunately, one of the strongest cars we saw out there in the last couple of laps, at 29 of Jeff Hale. Looks like we've yet to get word of what's going on there. And I see the YouTube chat box lighting up, and especially that of Mr. Milt Minter out there, who said, dang, my boy got bounced. And I'm assuming he's talking about Jeff Hale. But, Milt, we call that in the land, getting abducted by aliens. So being our first trip over here to FSB Racing, the very first time with the DRL network, I'm going to ask you, Milt, maybe you can chime in the chat box. Do you think the aliens are going to keep Jeff long? I mean, are they going to poke and prod him? And I mean, Jeff sounded like a good guy. I think they're going to let him back in. Ain't that right? Todd is a guy who's been abducted by the aliens. They're usually gentle there, aren't they?
No comment on that one, Phil. As the aliens, if they want to keep you, they're going to keep you, and that's one of those things. They may let you come back. It's one of them jitters. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens, and hopefully maybe he can come back. If not, he did have a good showing here. This is a long endurance race. This is an attrition race here. The Daytona 500 here online, and these guys putting on one whale of a show, and to be 11 laps down or 12 laps down even, and soldiering along here, that shows what kind of racers that these guys are. These guys staying out here and just finishing this attrition race. They want their name in the history books here as finishing one of these races, let alone that's a tough feat in itself to finish one of these races. I'm telling you what, Phil, I've been in many of these races, and I've maybe been lucky to finish maybe a handful of them.
Yeah, and these long endurance races are definitely hard. I don't think I've ever actually... I think I've tried to attempt maybe an endurance race like this before, but being nowhere near the caliber of driver, I think I'd have to be to go out there and make a good positive showing. I've never seen to finish in one of these endurance races, Joe, but I know you have, and I got to think to even race in a race like this with this long distance, especially a race like a Daytona 500, but any race that we come out here and do these long 3-4 hour kind of races, it must give you a tremendous, just a beam of pride there just to make it to the checkered flag in one of these things.
Oh yeah, it does, and it's a lot of work. I mean, are we sim racers? Yes, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot of work. It's tiring. You have to stay focused for these long 2.5-3 hour events, and that's only at big tracks like Daytona. I mean, there's some leagues that I've seen run 500-mile races at Bristol and Martinsville, and those are even worse. I mean, really, it comes down to focus and mental toughness and mental awareness, and it just makes it really tough, and that's the biggest thing with it. But as far as the attrition goes and whatnot, guys, I'm doing some work on my calculator here, and I may not be the best guy at math, but I'm looking at possibly a fuel mileage race. Completed lap 117, we're right in the middle of lap 118. These guys are getting anywhere from 40 to 43 laps on gas, I believe, is what we said the fuel mileage or the pit window was. We're looking real close to making this on a 2-stop race, guys. So fuel mileage could come into play here towards the end of this thing if we stay green for the remainder of the event.
Yeah, that's not a point I actually thought of there, Joe. But as we approach 300 miles of this thing, 119 of 200 going up on the board. So next time around, we're going to be 300 miles in. And it's an amazing, feat of racing by these guys this week, today. 300 miles, caution-free. Could you imagine coming to the Daytona 500, being 300 miles in next time around? It's Todd Stanton, an hour and a half in, and these guys without a caution flag, the average speed of the race well over 192 mile an hour, 192.573. This is probably the fastest race we've ever seen here live on DRTV. It's been a fantastic race.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic race, and I think this is bordering on the fastest race that we've had here on DRTV there, Phil, and I think that's going to be another record set. We can put that one in the record books. I don't think that feat is going to be duplicated here. It puts a nice precedent out there for the other leagues to try to do this long green flag run like this. We're coming up on 120 green flag laps, and I think that's pretty much unheard of. I think before that, Phil, maybe we see 90 green flag laps all at once, and that was the best that we've had. So these guys putting on an amazing show. These guys settled down. These guys are racing pretty hard, but they're not. They're using their heads. They're not overdoing it here early on in the going.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from the chatter from the race control here, I hear the drivers and spotter crew chief communication. Sounds like these guys are maybe a handful of laps or better away from finding another round of green flag pit stops. We've already seen 2 this afternoon. We're going to see our 3rd one here in a couple of laps here, Joe Allen. Now, we've seen 300 miles in. You're thinking maybe one more stop from here. Is that right? What do you think you're going to play as far as strategy on this next pit stop?
I'm going 2 tires from here on out. These guys have taken 4 tires in the past, and I'm thinking maybe right side tires this time down pit road. Take a little bit of extra time to do that, but I'm thinking my money stop because these guys are going to have to come down at least one more time. That's when you're going to save your two tire left side stop. So definitely thinking right sides this time down, and then left sides to get as quick a pit stop as you can on that last round of green flag pit stops if we get there. And then we'll just duke it out to the finish from there. See one car dive off the racing surface. None of the leaders look like they're coming with him. So these guys are still going to be out there parading around for another couple of laps, I would imagine, before we see them start ducking down to pit road.
I'm on pit road, and I'm seeing the number 40 of Jim Christopher, who, certainly getting the hard charger award today as far as just staying with it. 11 laps down in the rear, had some issues staying. The Ironman award. Thank you, Todd. You got the correct one there. The Ironman award today for Jim Christopher. The 40 is on pit road. Looks like it's going to be just fuel, guys. No tires at all for that blue and white number 40 SS. And looks like the Christopher work, that thing just about full of fuel. The fuel can coming off, the crew waving. The 40 car guy's down and away. And he's picked up a spot with the issues from Jeff Hale. That number 40 guy, he's now up to a 12th spot. So, hats off to him. And when you get to a race like this and, being the Ironman and having to fight back from behind, at this point, Joe, I think it's just get all the points you can, run all the laps you can, and make all the positions you can. And hats off to Jim. I mean, it's certainly a tough feat to come out here and be 12 laps down, but he's certainly going to give it a go here. And wouldn't you know, he's gained a spot here past the 300-mile marker.
Hey, hats off to him because that's tough. I'll tell you what, 11 laps down in the rear of the field, you really don't have anything to gain on the guys that are in front of you. You're sitting back there 11 laps in the rear. The 38 is 5 laps. Then you have the 59er Ryan Johnson. He's 2 laps down. You have the 31. That's Brad Odo. He is 2 laps down. And then you have the 333. That's Nick Fleck. He is 1 lap down. So it's going to be tough for him to go up there and gain any more spots. He's going to need something to happen to some of those guys to really catapult himself anywhere. But props and hats off to him. To kind of sit around there, hasn't really been running in the lead pack. He went down and pitted by himself, so I'm not sure really how he's going to fare when these guys come back down. So he's kind of been out there pitting by him or running by himself. So hats off. 500-mile race at Daytona. This is a big track to run by yourself around for 200 laps. So hats off to him. I'll tell you what, that's something to be proud of.
Well, to make it more fun for him, Joe, I think on this last round of run through green flag pit stops, he was able to actually latch onto this lead pack. So you would know, and I think all of us can attest to, we're all sim racers out there. If you're out there running around in that lead pack, maybe if your lap's down, you can at least still make it fun, get up there and feel like you're racing and whatnot. But, Joe, you saw issues on the racetrack. What did you see there?
Yeah, I saw guys trying to come down pit road. They're getting back onto the surface now. Hopefully they get back up to speed. We don't need a caution brought out because of that, but lap cars, it looked like the 333 at Nick Fleck, and I believe that's the red and white car. That's also the 38 coming down off the racing surface to get on pit road. 333 was trying to come down and pit and just came across the nose and got into each other and caused a big wreck down off the racing surface. Didn't bring out the caution, but I'm sure our always ready to go Rich Patton in the control booth will get that ready to go, so we'll throw it down to him when he's ready. But yeah, just a little bit of contact between those two guys down there, Phil. Didn't bring out a caution though, so we're still under green here on the surface, and we'll see if we can keep it that way.
The punt cam is certainly busy now as all the leaders finding its way onto pit road. I'm down in the Biscayne pit. The number 43, that Cowboys Dodge Charger, going to pull a left-hand turn to his pit stall, and we'll see. Is it going to be 2 tires? Is it going to be 4 tires? Is it going to be no tires? I'm seeing 2 left side tires, so it's going to be 2 tires. The 43 maybe a little close to the wall. The fuel going into the car. Work on the 43 guys just about complete and down and away. I'll throw it to you, Todd. What do you got?
I was in the 55 pit box again, guys. He took 2 left side tires, 2 cans of fuel, down and away. It looks like up and down pit road. I was kind of watching multiple monitors. I was seeing just about everybody took 2 tires, guys. I didn't see really any 4-tire stops, but that'll cycle through for our leaders here on this first round, or this third round of green flag pit stops, I should say. But Rich, I know we talked a little bit earlier. We had some troubles on the first incident where we saw those 2 lap cars try to come down pit road and get on pit road. So we're going to go ahead and throw it down to you real quick. I know you got a replay ready to show the incident that happened down there.
Yeah, we didn't get under caution, but we're going to show you this replay anyway because these 2 guys did take each other out for a little short ride. We'll let this play out a little bit. We're going to keep our eyes on the 38 of Leo Kelly, as the 33 is also going to make a drastic change on the track. It looks like he's wanting to come down for the pits, goes right across the 38's nose. That's the 333 as well. Gets the tires up off the track in the back end. Both of them slide into a final stop down towards the apron. It looks like Leo was able to get that car under control without hitting the inside wall, so great job by him. Both of these cars trying to get out of the way and not get flagged for a penalty on an unsafe entrance or whatever, so they both try to get back out on the track and get them cars back up to speed before they get penalized since they didn't cross the line. Tough break for both of those guys. Now they're going to need tires for sure. Back up to you guys.
Yeah, unfortunate break there for the 333. He was on the lead lap, guys. If you could imagine he's currently in the 8th spot, but is going to fall 1 lap to the rear of the field. But it's one of those things there, Todd. We're better than 300 miles into this thing. You've kept your nose clean, but it's only one little mistake. And, maybe this incident there is something as simple or not so simple as coming on the pit road at Daytona under green. And unfortunately for those 2 guys getting together and, Nick's running the lead lap, it looks like it's going to be short-lived here. Is now he's going to drop down to about that 10th spot, 1 lap down to the rear of the field.
Yeah, a tough break for him as we had a battle there momentarily for the lead. Looked like the top group was getting some momentum, led by the number 80 of Ed Findlay, the 72 of Isaac Johnson. He was right there behind the number 80, but not able to do anything. It looks like the number 6, I believe, is out front. That is Mark DeSenza having 1 whale of a pit stop. Mark DeSenza nailed his pit stop in that number 6 machine, and he's been noted for that throughout his whole NASCAR 2003 career, for that matter, is nailing the pit stops down on pit road. He got on and off pit road really, really well in the number 6 machine. The only benefactor there is I thought what was going to happen is the guys that were catching him, because he got such a big gap there between himself and maybe Scott Schroyer, the 55. Scott was going to go out and around him, but Scott decided to stay with the 6 of Mark DeSenza. DeSenza still inheriting the lead with Scott Schroyer right there behind him. And that number 55 machine down the back straightaway. These guys working over the bottom side of the speedway. Ed Findlay now finally back down to the bottom in that number 80 machine. He is running in that 4th spot. Steve Weber, a guy that we haven't talked much about, Phil, he's inside the top 5 in that number 83 machine. A good run for Steve Weber in that number 83. So that's another guy that we haven't talked much about, but he's inside this top 6 or 7 cars that are here, as Isaac Johnson right now running in that 7th spot in that number 72.
Yeah, tremendous run for the 83 of Steve Weber. He's just, mind his own business, mind his P's and Q's, if you will. Kept the nose clean, all the fenders clean, and hasn't gone on the way as much as side-by-side racing. But as you see that now, we get toward the second half of this race. The 83 has wound its way now into the top 5, glued to the low side of the racetrack, and might be on the move a little bit there, Todd, getting a little bit racy with the 80 of Ed Findlay, who seems to be peeking up to the high side just a little bit off that corner.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this 83 machine is going to do. We haven't seen him up here slicing and dicing his way through this pack, but he was getting a little racy with Ed Findlay. Findlay still able to slam the door. Now the 83 slamming the door shut on Isaac Johnson. Johnson trying to work down to the bottom. He was almost trying to go below that yellow line there. As now you see the 83 drift up the track just a wee bit here in the corners, and that's a product of that bottom line there. As sometimes you catch the different transitions of the banking and end up going up the track just a little bit. Now Scott Schroyer jumps out of the line. Looks like he's going to go to the top side. Looks like he's going to have help. I believe that is the 019 machine once again. These guys trying to get the top groove moving here, trying to get some racing and trying to make some headway up here. And indeed is Troy Higgins trying to push Scott Schroyer to the lead. Schroyer now up alongside the number 6 machine of Mark DeSenza there, side by side to the start finish line.
Side by side to the line. Give it to DeSenza last time by, but only by 0.019 seconds at the line. The outside lane is moving. Schroyer, our pulsar of the number 55, the defending Triple Crown champion Troy Higgins in the 019 of the high side. That may be just kind of split up there by a lap car as they hit down the back straightaway. splitting everybody 2 or 3 wide. What a situation there, guys. Heads up driving by all these guys as a lap car stuck right in the middle of the racetrack. Not sure who. I think that might have been the 38 of Leo Kelly. Not sure if exactly who that was. Need to go back and look at that, but man, Joe, approaching the field here at 190 mile per hour and maybe having to split 2 and 3 wide. Well, what a heady move by all these guys, you know, catching that lap car. That's a helpless feeling being the 38, mind you, but just tremendous driving by all these guys to split that lap car, if you will, and keep this thing under green.
Yeah, that's evasive driving at its finest. The 33 probably should have stayed all the way up by the wall, or he should have went down or the 38, I'm sorry, or should have stayed down underneath the yellow line or something, but he kind of went from the bottom to the top, to the middle, back to the top, couldn't decide exactly where he wanted to go, and really turned into a scary situation for those leaders. And fortunately, Scott Schroyer in the 55 was not the lucky benefactor from that. He went from racing for the lead on the top side to getting shuffled back to the 5th position there on the bottom now. That just ruined all of his momentum on the top side, and the 43 who just pulled out and making a run on him as well, that's not Troy Higgins. That's Rick Bisconer. He was all over the bumper, the 55 as well. That just ruined both of their runs, as Higgins in the 019 is going to pull up to the top side of the 55, maybe see if they can get the top line working again. Wonder if Isaac Johnson decides to stay tucked in on the bottom as they're coming up on more lap traffic. He's going to stay up by the wall. These guys will split him 3 wide down the middle of the back straightaway. Higgins cleared the 55. See if he tries to duck in behind the 72. No, he's going to, oh, yep, there he goes. Back down to the bottom now. And he'll tuck up right behind the 72 of Isaac Johnson, guys.
Yeah, Isaac right there on the low side. I'm going to bring you back in on this point, Joe. We know Isaac, he's led a lot of laps here this afternoon, trying to charge his way back forward. But, how much patience is it when you know you have a fast race car like that? How much discipline do you have to exercise behind the seat, behind the wheel in the driver's seat of these things to maybe not put this thing in an unnecessary position, maybe take an unnecessary risk or unnecessary chance and maybe wreck that race car? We know the 72 is fast, but now he has to work the way through a traffic and looking to be these guys not wanting to give up the low side of the racetrack. How much caution do you think is behind the wheel, that 72? We know he's an aggressive driver, and you being a guy who likes to make aggressive moves too, Joe, I think you can elaborate on this point even more.
Yeah, and I think your mentality, my mentality when I race in super speedways is a little backwards. I like to be aggressive in fields where you have 30-some-odd cars because I like to be in front of the action to make sure that I'm not involved in the middle of the action. But with a field as small as this is, we see 9 cars tucked up with each other, 2 of which are lap cars. So really we have 7 cars up in this lead pack that are on the lead lap fighting for each other. So I think Isaac has to really play his hand just right. We know he's got a fast car. He knows he has a fast car. He's been up front leading this race, running in the top 2, continues to be real strong. I think he just needs to pick his moves wisely. I don't know that he really wants to go to the top side right now, especially knowing that they're going to have to come down in 24, 25 laps probably for their last round of pit stops. So I think he's trying to just keep the fenders clean as these guys continue to race pretty hard, looking like they're going to try to go 3 wide, but I don't know that I would be as aggressive as I normally am in a small pack like this. The problem is with how small the pack is, you don't have that benefactor of having cars that are willing to go with you. So you kind of really got to pick your moves wisely and hope that you have people to go with you. Because we've seen with this track, with the smaller collection of cars, it really takes more to make that outside line work because it requires more drafting power. So you really got to pick your moves wisely. So I don't know that I would be too aggressive. I think Isaac on the bottom line in that 4th position is probably right where he needs to be right now, and that's where he needs to stay until he can get through these last round of pit stops, hopefully get a good pit stop down there that'll put him out towards the front, and he can kind of ride out there and make the moves that he needs to make to keep himself out there.
Well, he's on the low side of the racetrack, currently in that 4th spot, alongside the 019 of Troy Higgins, who Todd just will not give up, trying on that outside lane. Him and Scott Schroyer hooked right together. We got that lead pack of 7 cars strong, but these guys certainly mixing it up all over the racetrack. Is now contact between the 72 and the 019. That's going to send Higgins around, and for the first time today, and we're back here live at the Daytona International Speedway. having some issues here today. I feel like we're network TV with the elongated breaks and the action here. We were slowed by one caution flag. Everybody came to pit road. We've restarted here since. They've had some dicing up racing, and what did you know, guys? We had 350 miles in clean and green, and now a second caution flag about 3 laps after the restart. Joe Allen, not sure what you saw there, but I saw multiple drivers involved, and think I may see some flipping there, and I think Rich is going to hopefully get squared away and show that in the replay in a minute. But a wild ride there. I believe that may have been the 83 that was involved there.
Yeah, I saw the 83 Steve Weber. The 019 of Troy Higgins was in it. He got some serious damage. He's the one that toppled over end by end, did a couple cartwheels, so that'll be something that Rich will have to show. The 38 of Leo Kelly fall back in it again. I think that was I think it was only a 3-car accident, but it was a big wreck going down in the middle of 3 and 4, guys. That was a hard hit for some of those guys. But I believe Rich down in the control booth is ready to go. So, Rich, I'm going to throw it down to you so you can cue up the replay and show our viewers why we're under our most recent caution, the second of the evening.
Yeah, tough break. We're having a lot of control issues down here in the control room. Apologize for that, but we did get back in time to watch this review. This is unbelievable what's going on here today. We're going to let this play out, keep our cameras on. Troy Higgins in that 019. Looks like 3 other cars were involved. The 83 also, and I believe possibly the 38. We're running this forward in slow motion. You see there's a little bit of looseness getting there. Both of them got loose. Next thing you know, 3 cars up in the wall, and it's like a blender up there. They come off the wall. They are airborne, doing all kinds of somersaults. You name it, they're doing it. And oh my gosh, we almost had a turtle right there. The 019 sliding on his lid finally comes back down on all 4. All 3 cars come down to a stop. We're looking at the 38, the 83, and the 019 all involved. A bunch of heavy damage on these cars, guys. Back up to you.
Yeah, and it's certainly changed the complexion of this race indeed, as you know, so many drivers have been tore up. Let's do just a quick full field rundown if we can, see if we can't keep up with the live timing and scoring here on the racetrack. But under the second yellow flag of the day, it's going to slow the pace of the race down for sure. Race leader last time around was Rick Bisconner, the number 43. Ed Finley currently second. Isaac Johnson, the 72, third. The 6 of Mark DeSenza is fourth. Steve Weber, the 83. That is your current top 5. Sixth, the last driver on the lead lap, and now we can say looks like damage going to put that car behind the wall. The defending Triple Crown champion at FSB last year, Troy Higgins, behind the wall in the 019. That's going to relegate him outside the top 10 is finished, but currently 6th in the order. 7th, Brad Otto in the 31. He is 1 lap down, as too is Ryan Johnson in the 59. Nick Fleck is 2 laps down in the 333. Leo Kelly currently running at the top 10. He is 6 laps in the rear. Pole sitter Scott Schroyer was involved in the first yellow flag of the event. He's behind the wall. His day is going to be done. He's going to finish up, and it looks like, maybe outside of the top 10. He's currently 11th. Jim Christopher in the number 40, still out on the racetrack, 11 laps in the rears, and you know, he soldiers on, guys. He may yet end up with a top 10 finish. Currently scored 12th, and Jeff Hale 13th. Looks like his afternoon may be done. The aliens taking what they wanted of Jeff this afternoon. Had a hot rod rocket ship in that 29. He currently looks like he's going to finish up 13th. 14th, Dennis Balzer. He retired from the event early, as did Bill Martino. Great to see Bill Martino back on DRTV out on the racetrack. He brought the 15 home today in the 15th spot. 15 drivers, guys, started the Daytona 500 over here at FSB this afternoon. And now as we hit the 3/4 marker, 149 of 200 on the board, the complexion of this race, Todd, has certainly changed. And we're going to have the familiar names back at the front of the field, but maybe not quite so many now, as it now looks like the 333 of Nick Fleck, his day also going to be done. So these 2 caution flags, they've certainly been costing this field. Many, many heavy hitters now all behind the wall.
Yeah, many heavy hitters behind the wall. You still got quite a few left out there on the speedway, but a lot of the guys that were running up inside the top 5, like you said, Jeff Hale, Alien Deductions, they took him, and they've had his way, or else he's having their way with them. I'm not sure of that outcome with the 29 Jeff Hale, but a lot of these guys just out of this race. Nick Fleck, Troy Higgins was running inside the top 5. Nick Fleck was having a good run. Scott Schroyer out of this race, he was having a good run, Phil. These guys that were actually, a lot of those guys were actually the ones that were going up towards the high side. So we're going to have to see if anybody else can get the high side going with these cars. I mean, you got Ed Finley up there. These guys have been running pretty good, though. Ed Finley, Mark DeSenza, Isaac Johnson, Weber is up there. Otto is up there. I mean, he's one lap down. Could he get one of his last pick? Ryan Johnson get one of his last pick? Right now, we got 5 cars left on the lead lap, but that doesn't mean anything. Things can change within a blink of an eye here at the Daytona International Speedway. You've seen how quick the nights were ended for Troy Higgins and/or Scott Schroyer, Nick Fleck, those guys. You've seen how quick it ended for those guys. It could end just as quickly for the rest of them.
Well, and one thing to keep in mind, guys, 50 laps to go at the line, so we're going to have at least one more green flag pit stop here, Joe. We've seen 3 of them yet today. Can we see a 4th and deciding green flag pit stop here as we get to the closing laps? These guys have all come on pit road now to top off, but you got to think these guys are probably a good 5 to 8 laps short if my calculation's correct.
Yep, and I think we can get back to the last green flag pit stop. I mean, these guys ran over half this race under green flag conditions, and, you know, people are going to say, oh, cautions breed cautions. Yeah, they do, but I think these guys got their 2 cautions out of the way for the event, and I think we get this thing back under green. These guys will settle back in, and we'll run this out to the end. That's my prediction. So I think absolutely we're going to go ahead and get our last pit stop. Is going to be under green flag conditions. I don't think it's going to be under caution flag conditions.
No, I do not as either. I think we're going to see this thing probably go to green flag from here. That's going to be my bold prediction here for the DRTV, DRL Network crew this afternoon. I know we haven't made official race predictions here yet, and not sure if we're going to get to them here in a little bit. We still got a lot of racing left to go. You know, 3/4 the way home in the Daytona 500. FSB Racing, the very first time the DRL Network has paid visit here to the guys at FSB, and it's certainly an honor to come over for the first time. Know this is a league that's been on the broadcast waves for many, many years. You know, Milt Milter's out there. He's certainly been at the catalyst of that. Also, his broadcast partner, Greg, also Mark Dillon, doing it for a long time at FSB. So really cool for all of us here on the DRL Network to come over here to FSB for the first time. And we've seen some tremendous racing here this afternoon, guys. I mean, it's been clean and green for most of this event. 2 caution flags for the first 150 laps. An impressive feat in itself. 5 drivers now left onto the lead lap. Is it going to come down to at least 5? Well, with a green flag pit stop, Todd, that can certainly change the complexion. But let's see what's going to happen. The DRTV pace fan is in, and we're about to turn this thing back to the green flag.
Yeah, green flag is in the air once again for the Daytona 500 rendition here at FSB Racing. And these guys got the loud pedal down. Lap and a half to get up to full song here around the Daytona International Speedway. Ed Finley has the lead all by his lonesome with Mark DeSenza right there running in that second spot. You're seeing a couple of these cars up in front of the number 80 of Ed Finley. That's the 59 of Ryan Johnson and Brad Otto in that number 31 machine. Those guys trying to get their laps back, but here comes Ed Finley firing back on the outside down the back straightaway. His car is starting to wind up. So is the number 6 of Mark DeSenza. They want to keep these guys a lap down. It's a little bit easier if something comes out yellow-wise. Maybe it's a little easier to decide between these 5 guys rather than adding any more drivers to the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see all the lead lap cars, guys, are all on the top lane. Traditional single file restart with the lap cars on the inside. The 80 of Ed Finley going to sneak on by. DeSenza in the 6 now trying to clear. The 43 of Biscona, Rick Biscona, that 43 trying to make way around it. But lap cars on the inside, they're holding strong there, Joe, off of turn 2.
Yep, holding strong down on the bottom. Little something different that FSB does that some of our viewers may not be used to. A lot of these leagues have gone over to lucky dogs and awarding wave rounds. FSB still follows the old rules. If you want to get back on the lead lap, you got to get yourself to the tail end of the lead lap, hope that a quick caution comes out and you're out in front of the leaders. So that's why we see some of these lead lap car, or these lap down cars, I should say, racing pretty hard, trying to get laps back, but doesn't look like it's going to work. We see the 6, he's propelled his way, and we all know that I have a very near and dear place in my heart for the number 6. I run it in my own league, so Mark DeSenza doing well, catapults himself out to the race lead. He's got the 43 all over his back bumper. They're 2x2 back behind them. Bisconer and DeSenza out there leading. Bisconzer now going to go to the high side, see if he can get himself around the 6. He's got the 72, Isaac Johnson, all over his back bumper down the back straightaway, Todd.
Yeah, Isaac Johnson all over the rear bumper, propelling him to the lead. The number 43 machine now to the lead. Rick Bisconer in that number 43 now drops down to the bottom side there momentarily, trying to work both lanes. Mark DeSenza down on the bottom side. Here comes Isaac Johnson as the 43 Bisconer now back up to the top side. They're going to be able to shut the door on Mark DeSenza now working on the bottom side. So you got Bisconer, and then you got the number 72 of Isaac Johnson, Mark DeCenza running in that third spot. Fourth is Ed Finley. Fifth on the speedway. I'm trying to go all the way back through here and look where the fifth position is here, and trapped quite a ways back here within the other cars is the number 83 of Steve Weber. He's 14 seconds behind the top four.
Yeah, certainly damage there for the 83 in that big wreck. Currently in the top five, but it's just going to be holding on from here and hoping to stay on the lead lap. But these four guys in the lead lap, they are certainly mixing it up indeed. Bisconer, that Dallas Cowboys number 43 Dodge Charger out to the race lead. The 72, that Wrangler Chevrolet, the young gun, Isaac Johnson right there in that second position. Mark DeCenza, the veteran, the number 6, currently third. And the 80 of Ed Finley. Ed's been in this community a long time as well. Great to see Ed amongst the top four. Joe Allen, 4 heavy hitters at the front of this field, 155 laps on the board. And now you're going to think we're going to have at least one more green flag pit stop from here, Joe. But what do you think we're going to see here? The money stop's going to happen with so few laps here to go. What kind of strategy do you think we're going to see on that last stop?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure because we have 2 potential options that we have. These guys could split this run in half and take as many, positions as they can by splitting the run in half with the fuel load, or they can run this thing out through the final 10 laps, bank on maybe a caution coming out towards the end of it. They're still going to have to pit regardless, but bank on a caution that'll save them track position. I don't know. You could have some mixed strategies. The thing that's really going to throw a wrench into this is we got a pack of 8 cars up front. The 83, who's the last car in the lead lap, well off the pace, most likely damaged due to involvement in all of these in the 2 accidents that we've had today. So he's well off the pace. We got 4 cars that are left in this thing running for a win as it stands right now, but these lap cars could really throw a wrench into things. They're back there. They have the potential and the ability to push some of these lead lap cars, so we could see lap cars really play a key role into determining the outcome of this race. But I don't know, as far as pit strategy, I know some guys prefer to cut runs in half and almost short pit basically. But me personally, I usually like to run it out on gas. That way I'm not, an unfortunate, victim to a random caution that might fall during pit strategy. So me personally, I would probably run this thing out on fuel, come down towards, with 10 laps to go or so when these guys are going to probably have to come down to pit, take the least amount of fuel that you can and no tires and get back out there. I'm just not a fan of coming in and splitting a run in half personally, but that's just my perspective on things.
Well, that's great perspective indeed. Can't wait to see what these guys are going to do the very first time for DRTV over to FSB Racing, and thrilled to be joined in the broadcast booth here for the first time by our friend over here, the owner of FSB, and that is Mr. Sam Young. Sam, welcome to DRTV, my friend. Great to have you over here, and thanks a lot for having us here today. This has been a fantastic race.
Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys coming in and stepping up with this great broadcast. And I'm glad that guys here put on a heck of a show. We have some skills here for sure, and they're showing it off today. And some bad luck, some like you guys said, some alien abductions. I like that, but they are doing a great job out there. And then, like you said before, with the Iron Man Award there, that Jim Christopher hanging out to the end of the race. They are racing for points. This is a Triple Crown event, so. Your points add up for the 3 races that we run, these endurance races, and that's something else here at FSB. It's been tough to do these endurance races, and we really, actually, I'm very surprised at the turnout. We had a great turnout with 15 cars. Usually we run about 40% races, but anyway, thanks guys for putting on the broadcast. You guys are doing awesome.
Well, Sam, it's been awesome to do. This race has no doubt been great, and I think the best is yet to come here through these last 100 miles. But you guys at FSB, Sam, you guys have been around for a very, very long time. Give us a quick history lesson for those of us who may be being exposed to FSB for the first time of all the great things you guys got going on as far as the mods you run, how guys can get involved over here. Give our viewers a heads up who may be looking for a new place to race, how they can find you all at FSB.
I'd love to, and thanks. The first thing I'd like to do, though, is give a shout-out to Pinky. Jim Scharf, one of our drivers, he's in the hospital, and I'm sure he's watching. If he's not, he'll definitely watch the rebroadcast of it. And he's in the hospital, and we all wish him well. And he was involved recently with our retirement party for Jim Ray, and he kind of got that together where we sent Jim Ray to Disneyland, and he is there today. actually, enjoying that Disney trip that the guys sent them. We all contributed and gave a good farewell present. But Jim Ray has been running the series and this league for almost 14 years. He has built an incredible venue of very, very great drivers and sportsmanship-oriented drivers. It's just like nothing else out there. There's nothing but the sportsmanship element here, and that's what we strive for. And it makes it a fun club. And we have 63 members, and we do basically race 5 nights a week, and we have many series. We have a Pro Cup and an FSB Cup series that both run Monday nights. Tuesday night we have a Super Speedway series, and then we kick off at 11:30. We have a Chicken Run series, and that series is for the West Coasters. It starts off at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, so it's late at night for most East Coasters. But we give them a shot to run at night. And then Wednesday we run a Grand National series, a sprint race, and then a 30% race in a Grand National mod. That's the NX15 mod, I think it is. And then on Thursday we run some the truck series. Ed Finley runs that series for us. Great admin. He's doing a great job tonight on the track, as you can see. And then Friday nights we run the Winston Cup series. This is the series where Milton and Greg usually broadcast for us. It's broadcast live every Friday night, and they do a great job with the Winston Cup series, running that old Aero 88 mod. And just a full venue every week, and we just have lots of shows and keep these guys racing and active. Recently tried some dirt out, didn't work out too well because we pick a bad night for that. That's Sunday night, and Sunday night's a tough night for us. But that's most of our weekly events, and then we have lots of off-season events that we do in our split season. We run 22 to 23 week seasons. And those are full point seasons, and this is our 30th season in FSB racing. That's a lot of racing. Like I say, Jim Ray has done a great job of maintaining and archiving all of our races and our events in the forums, and it's going to be a legacy to follow in his footsteps. It'll be tough, but we're trying to keep the same recipe and do exactly what he did. Which was to keep this sportsmanship element first. And as you can see, these guys are not just only great sportsmen, but they're also talented drivers. I mean, really exceptional. And again, thanks for the plug, guys. Appreciate it.
I couldn't agree more as far as that sportsmanship. And the first thing I thought about, getting to see how all the things work over here and knowing the membership, and watching the other broadcasts here over the years that have spotlighted FSB so many times. But it's certainly a brotherhood every time you come to FSB. This is a really tight-knit group of guys. And anybody looking to get a hold of Sam and be part of the racing, FSBRacing.com. A great group of guys. He says 63 members, and I'm sure the door is open. Anybody looking to get more information, absolutely contact Sam, and I'm sure he'll take care of you. All the guys over here do a really, really good job. Lots of racing here, and hats off to you, Sam, for taking over such an empire that FSB is. Jim Ray been around for a really, really long time, kept this thing pointed in a good direction, and so far looks like under your direction, things certainly going on the up and up and staying positive as they always have been at FSB. So once again, congratulations on all the great things you guys are doing. A lot of great racing, and hats off to Jim Ray for years and years of having every race FSB's ever done archived. That's a feat amongst itself. That can't go without saying. So once again, on behalf of all of us here on DRTV, DRL Network, the first time for us to FSB, you guys have certainly treated us well, and we hope to come back. It's certainly been a great race, and we've had a good time. So thanks again, Sam, for allowing us to do so, and we hope to talk to you all again on the airwaves here real soon. Thanks again.
You're very, very welcome. I want to throw a shout out to our staff too. We have a great admin staff, and they do work very hard to ensure our racing. So just a shout out to all 13 of our volunteers. I appreciate all of you guys, and thanks for the great broadcast, guys. I'm going to let you guys take the call by call, and thanks for coming down. And I'm sure we're going to have you back. And maybe it won't be such a long race next time. We'll try for something a little shorter for you. But we appreciate all the hard work. Thanks, guys.
All right, well, Sam Young, we certainly appreciated it, and you say the first time for us to come over here and do a race, but when we started DRTV years ago, the theme was go big or go home. So what a great race to be a part of, Todd. The first trip for us to FSB, might be the numbers here, working out with four drivers on a lead lap, but these guys have put on one spectacular race here this afternoon.
Yeah, definitely put on a spectacular race here that's going on right now. But I think a lot of these guys pulling up out of line. I'm not sure what's going on. The 72 of Isaac Johnson pulled up out of line. Maybe going to short pit this time. We're uncertain what the 72 of Isaac Johnson scenario was. He was running in that second spot, but he went down in front of his father, the number 59 of Ryan Johnson. So we'll just have to wait and see what kind of pit stop this is going to turn out to be. Now Rick Bisconer and the number 6 of Mark DeSenza. That's 1-2. And third right now, I believe, is the number 80 of Ed Finley. So those guys, the top three, working together. Then you got Jim Christopher in that number 40, the Iron Man that we're calling here on the show. He's been out there and just trucking along, and I believe he's finally inside the top 10. He is indeed. So he is in 9th position there, Phil. Like we said, he's been trucking along, and now he's 9th position. He's made his way inside the top 10, and that's a great feat in itself. That goes to show you these drivers and the caliber that stay out there, Phil. It's a long endurance race. Yes, they are getting points for the Triple Crown Series, the Indianapolis 500, and the Coca-Cola 600 later on in the season here, and you got to get points. They're all going to count. It's all going to matter. But that's tough. 11 laps down, just soldiering around and knowing that the only way you're probably going to pick up positions is when people retire.
Oh, absolutely right. It's soldiering on here, and it's been a great race. But we talk about the play there for the 72 of Isaac Johnson there, Joe. He was running second. He dropped back to the tail end of that pack. Looked like he picked up his dad out there, the 59 of Ryan Johnson, for drafting help. Now, with one more pit stop left to make, we talk about having a dance partner. Could you pick a better dance partner than your own father out there to maybe play your hand and try to win the Daytona 500? I've never had that element of, having my dad out there on the racetrack. I'm not sure. I don't think you ever have either, but that's got to be a cool dynamic to have in a race like this.
Yeah, I mean, definitely turns in a different dynamic. That's completely true. The strategy play is interesting. I mean, Isaac, 72, sitting in the 4th position. He's got his dad right behind him. These two guys nail their pit stops when we get to them. I mean, that could really, really be beneficial, to know that you have a dancing partner out there. I'm not really sure on, the team scenario over here. I know just from personal experience of knowing Scott Schroyer and the Redline guys for as long as we have, we kind of know who those guys are and who works together. But I don't know the team situation over here. I just know for a fact that Ryan and Isaac are teammates, father and son combination. So, yeah, that could be definitely something that he was working on, although I don't really understand the choice from Isaac to move from second where he was running and pull out a line to get down in front of his dad. I think they could have easily met up on pit road and done it that way. I would have rather stuck in second place and had him come to me at least. I don't know about losing ground to the leaders if you're on the lead lap with those 3 guys in front of you and putting yourself back in 4th, but I mean, maybe they got something worked out that we don't know about. I don't know. That's the great thing about Green Flag Racing here is there's a bunch of different strategies all throughout the field on who's going to work with who, what kind of role these lap cars behind those guys are going to play in the finish of this event, because I think somebody's trying to make deals with other people to make sure that they have a partner to do something with them when they start making moves towards the end of this race.
Well, I've been peeking at that top 3, and they've all got it to the wood, that being Rick Biscano, our current leader, the 6 of Mark DeSenza, the 80 of Ed Finley. But paying attention to the works of that 72 of Isaac Johnson, Todd, I'm hearing him like half the throttle down the straightaways, hearing a lot of clutching. He can't possibly make it here without stopping, can he?
I don't think he can make it. I'm not sure why he's clutching, but I doubt the 72 is going to make it. He'll run out of fuel. That's just something I want to gamble upon. I think a splat. You're going to have to take some type of fuel.
Well, we'll have to see what's going to happen there. He's got Dad Ryan Johnson 1 lap down, the first driver a lap down, currently in that 5th spot. So Ryan has played the cards right, and now he may work his way to a top 5 finish before this thing gets out. Little less than 30 laps to go. 172 of 200 up on the board, waiting on a last green flag pit stop from here if we get to have it. Is it going to come early? Are we going to see guys short pit? Are we going to see, maybe guys run this thing dry and maybe have to pit with about a handful of laps to go? We're going to see what happens. Things getting on a line out there. The 43 of Rick Biscano, guys, he pulled to the high side. He's going to drift back to the end of that pack. So maybe some fuel conservation mode going in there for the 43 there, Joe?
Potentially, yes. As I'm thinking about it, these guys are coming down. They'll have to pit with approximately 15 to 10 laps to go, I'd say, if my calculations are right. They could be trying to figure out, the least amount of fuel that these guys can take, whether it be a can, whether it be a half a can. That might just be half a can, to be honest. These guys are running 40 laps on a tank, on 2 tanks, or 2 cans of fuel, I should say. Can of fuel would cut that in half to about 20 to 22 laps. Can and a half would be anywhere in the 10 to 12 lap range, most likely. So these guys could be trying to save enough fuel to only have to worry about taking half a can of fuel on this last pit stop here. So that might be why we see these guys moving, to the rear of the field, trying to get as much draft as they can to save as much fuel as they can, take the least amount of fuel as they can when they're on pit road, and have the shortest possible stop, get down in there and off the pit road as fast as you can, put yourself out into the race lead, and block from there. That's what it's looking like.
Well, we're going to see what happens as they're working their way down the backstretch toward turn 3. It's the 6 of Descenza with the lead. The 80 of Finley is there. The 72 Isaac Johnson third. The 43 of Rick Brisconer. Those 4 cars all locked together, 1 through 4, all left on a lead lap, vying to see who is going to win the 2017 version of the FSB Daytona 500 race they've run annually here for a couple of seasons now. Defending race winner, the dog, John Palmer. I know he's been watching out there today in the YouTube chat box, and great to see you out there, dog. Thank you for joining us. But I want to ask you guys in the chat box that are out still watching, who's it going to be to win the Daytona 500? We have 4 left in the lead lap. You got to assume it's going to be one of these 4, but can something happen on around the green flag pit stops that may bring one of these guys a lap down back into the fray? So YouTube chat box, I'm going to throw that out to you. Who is going to be your prediction now with less than 25 laps to go? Who's going to go to victory lane? Todd Stanton, I'm going to put you first on the horn. Who do you think?
Well, I don't know if I want to get the black cloud to anybody, but we're going to go off on a limb, and I'm going to go with the 80 of Ed Finley. I like the way he's been racing. I like his strategy calls and what he's doing, and he's just been riding. So I'm going to go with the 80 of Ed Finley to win this race.
All right, Joe, over to you.
I think mine is pretty easy, pretty easy to predict. The guy leading the race, kind of been a sleeper all night. He's been around the top 5, the top 10, or all night, all afternoon for the most of the event. Leading the race right now. Runs the number 6. We both run the number 6. Therefore, I got to go with my fellow number 6 racer. That's Descenza. I think he gets it.
All right. Well, before I give a pick, pit road is open. They're all coming on. Race leaders all hitting pit road. Let's see if we can't cover the pit stop, guys. I'm going to see who can't we get down here and cover. I'm going to get the 72 of Isaac Johnson on this end of pit road. Let's see what the 72 will do when he hits the pit stall. 55 miles per hour, a long way, and hard to get down to speed there from over 180 miles per hour down to that 55. The 72 is on the sign. Well, there's going to be any tires? Guys, looks like it's going to be gas and go for the 72. May have a little trouble getting out, but his service is down and away.
The number 80 of Ed Finley down and away. Right side tires was the call, and gas for the number 80 of Ed Finley. He's down and away.
I had the 6 of Descenza. He went down. 2 left side tires, can of fuel. He's down and away. He's going to come off pit road in the 4th position. Went in leading the race. So a little bit of a slow stop for the 6 guys.
Yeah, I was in the 43 camp of Rick Brisconer there. Those colors certainly not running in the 43. It was a gas and go, and looks like he's going to leave pit road just in tow with that 72. So the 72, the 43, Todd, they're looking to try to drive away from this field now, just outside of 20 laps to go.
Yeah, kind of like tandem drafting here with Brisconer and the number 72 machine. It's going to be interesting to see Isaac Johnson out front. These guys taking gas only. You also got Ryan Johnson right there. He's one of those types of guys. He's running 6. But if these guys get hooked up, they're going to drive right away. But it looks like Ryan able to. Biscotter now helping. It looks like he went to the high side, and now Ryan Johnson was going to go with him. But now here comes Ryan Johnson down to the bottom. He is helping Isaac Johnson in the 72 down the back straightaway.
An interesting play here. The 43 pulling on a line. He's going to let the 59 go by him, Joe Allen. Do you think this is some kind of strategy play from Brisconer on the 43? Father and son there. Isaac currently scored the race leader. Ryan is 1 lap down, in that 6th position there last time around. You got to think it's some kind of a sneaky play that 43 going to try to pull off.
Yeah, Biscano now falling off the lead draft. He's going to fall back and pick up the 6. See if maybe they can come back up and catch the father-son duo. So he's looking for some help. But I think they played that strategy play just right between Isaac and Ryan. They got hooked up together, nailed their pit stops. But we're going to have it's a 3-car battle. We got a lap car of Ryan Johnson up there, but we got 3 leaders that are going to be in this pack. So we'll see if the 43 and the 6 are going to have to work together. That's the only way they're going to be able to do anything. We see the 43 pull out of line. He's going to use the run. Not sure if the 6 is going to go with him. He is. Descends is going to pull out too. Ryan Johnson protecting the bottom behind his son Isaac. I don't know if the 2 of them are going to have enough steam up there to do it. It's going to take a lot of work. He's going to have to hope that the 6 and the 43 can really stay hooked to each other's bumpers, and the 72 and the 59 are going to have to keep themselves separated a little bit to make anything work. But 43 is not going to clear him. He's going to drop back down to the bottom, guys. So I don't know if anybody's going to have anything for Isaac with his dad behind him, because I think we all know the 59 will not leave the bumper of the 72. They're going to protect the bottom probably for the rest of the race.
Now, and 50 miles here left to go. 180 of 200 laps up on the board, and I think it's a matter of pick your dance partner now. Obviously, Isaac's picked his dad, Ryan, there in the 59. Those 2 guys pulling the field around. Isaac, your current race leader. Ryan, 1 lap down in that 6th position, but obviously the 43 of Biscano and the drop back off of that duo. He dropped back to get his friend Mark Descenza in the 6, so obviously that bed being made. Looks like he's looking for a dance partner, Todd, as we often need to do at Daytona. Looks like the 43 and the 6 may have to gang up here in these closing laps to take a run at the Johnson boys.
Yeah, they're going to have to gang up to take a run at the Johnson guys. I mean, you may even have to pull an old Jeff Gordon move, kind of bounce them and hope when you're bump drafting them they screw up just a little bit going into the corner and be able to maybe even get underneath one of these. And you got to break up this duo up front. I do not think. Unless something happens, that they're going to be able to complete that pass on the high side. It's not. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just think they need to break this duo up somehow or some way. It could happen, I guess, but I guess can't rule it out completely. But it's going to be hard to break up that tandem. Those guys work good together. They've always worked good together, as Ryan and Isaac. So you're going to have to break them up somehow. And my way of breaking them up is maybe doing a bump draft on that 59 and trying to get him a little bit loose, maybe not enough where he's going to get out of shape, but just a little bit loose. Yeah, like Rich was saying, the chrome horn, but it's not. The chrome horn's more used at like Bristol or Martinsville. I don't know what you would call it here.
Well, I'm not sure what you'd call it here either, Joe Allen, but these guys trying to form something up there on the high side. Biscano in the 43, descends in the 6. They keep peaking to the high side. Can they make the run work, and how many laps of this going at it in that top line do you think it's going to be before they can maybe make a run up toward the race lead? Because I think it's going to require a little bit of luck on their part to make that run happen.
Yeah, it's certainly going to take a little bit of luck. The 59 of Ryan fell off Isaac's bumper a little bit. I think what these guys need to do, what the 43 needs to start thinking about, what Rick needs to think about as he's behind there, drop off those front 2 guys just a little bit. Stay in their draft, but drop back just a little bit. Allow yourself to gather enough momentum in a run with use of the draft. Have the 6 on your bumper, and you're going to have to catapult yourself out to the outside with that massive run that they'll get from the draft and try to do something that way. As long as he's tucked up behind these guys, they're just not getting the momentum that they need to be able to make a pass on the outside, and running in, bumper to bumper like they are isn't helping matters. We've seen them have a hard time up there by themselves. Looks like they're going to try and switch. The 6 is going to go around, see if maybe the 43 can get on his bumper and push him and see if they can do anything. This will put a little bit of separation, see if they can use the run. So he's going to pull down behind the 59 here, see if maybe they can get a run going down into the 3. The problem is, Phil, the 43 not attached to the 6's bumper, so not going to really be able to do anything. These guys are going to have to work together. Otherwise, I just don't see them being able to make a pass on Isaac up there with his dad all over his bumper.
Well, the benefit I think they have is time here. They're going to be 185 on the board as far as laps go at the line. So it's going to be outside of 15 laps to go from here. And a tremendous run there to the back of that draft by the 43. He's going to tuck now right back up on the 6 car. We're going to see, do they peak to the high lane? Nope, they're going to think better of it through 1 and 2. The 6 going to stay glued to the back bumper of the 59. But how many laps do you think it's going to be, Todd, before that 6 and that 43 maybe try to pull out and make that outside look? Or are they going to look for that 59 to make a mistake and capitalize maybe on the low side?
It's hard to tell. I mean, DeCenza's no spring chicken. DeCenza's been around for a very, very long time. I'm sure he's contemplating what he's going to do. The 43 had one whale of a run there on DeCenza, but DeCenza was going to be able to. I thought maybe he'd go to the high side. Maybe the 43 would go with him and maybe bump him right around him. It's all about that run. I agree with Joe. You've got to get a run like that. Back off a little bit. I'm forgetting the CTS physics. Back off and get that run and maybe make something happen that way. We'll just have to wait and see. I just don't know where to go with it. I mean, it's tough. It's going to be really, really tough to get around those two guys.
No, it's certainly going to be. The 6 now peeking out once again as they head down the backstretch toward turn 3. Looks like they got a run to maybe get to the outside of the 59. Can they complete the run? No, sliding up the hill a little bit. The 43 bobbled just a bit. They're going to form back in formation. So maybe these guys a little bit of trial and error, Joe, trying to figure out where they can time the run. Do you think that's what they're doing, or do you think they're just making that try and just failing? What do you think this is? A game of cat and mouse, or what do you think they're doing?
Well, we saw them move up a lane. They moved up to the groove. They're back down to the bottom now. 43's got to be dedicated to the 6. They're going to see if they can maybe use this run off the corner here, the length of the backstretch, get a huge run on these guys, pull up to the high side and see if they can do something with it. 43's all over the back bumper of DeCenza. They're going to get a huge run on the 59. They got to time their run just right, but they get broken up right into the corner. 43 backs off the bumper. The 6 is going to make a run at it, see if he can pull up to the door, but problem is the 43 is not there. He just ran out of steam. That's the problem. These guys have to stay connected to each other. They're going to try to use the lap car this time. Lap car's just going to get in the way. Ooh, very late maneuver. The 83 definitely has damage. He fell off the pace long ago, so he's not going to be able to stay with these guys and help them. It's still going to be a 2-on-2 battle, but the high side just not working for these guys. They need to stay connected together, and that's the biggest issue that I'm seeing right now. The 6 and the 43 just cannot stay hooked up, and that's going to hurt them. If they can't stay hooked up, I just don't think they can make a run on these guys on the outside.
No, I'm not so sure either, but they were trying to use that lap car, that Steve Weber machine. He's way off the pace. Now 4 laps down to the 7th position, but it just shows the benefit of the draft here, Todd. These guys try and sniff every bit of wind off another car as they can and maybe gain that advantage, but I'm not so sure. I mean, I think I agree with Joe. I mean, the chat box consensus, if anybody can make this run happen, the 6 can certainly make this happen and maybe put this thing to victory lane, but I'm not so sure with the benefit of only a 2 versus 2 battle. I'm not sure they can make that happen in the high lane. I think they're going to need to bank on a mistake by the 59 and have to make something happen on the low side. What do you think?
Well, if they can tango together, they can back off and stay right next to each other. They can make it. Now, just watching it, they can make it happen on that top groove. They just got to get that run there. Now they're up to the top groove. The number 6 of DeCenza now up alongside the 59 of Ryan Johnson. These guys are going to have to hold him down just a little bit, maybe kill the momentum just a little bit, and try. And he's up there. He's working. He's working it with the number 6 of DeCenza, but just not able to pull up there quite enough.
He's trying to work it, as you said, but let's bring Rich into the conversation. Rich gets around the super speedways really, really well. What do you think, Rich? Who can make this break, or can these two guys make that run on that top 2? What do you think?
I don't think they're going to be able to go in the way they're going. This is definitely drafting. They're in CTS physics, so the draft should be pretty good for these guys. It's going to be tough having 2-on-2, one inside, one outside. I don't think the top line's going to prevail. He is making a lot of distance on getting up next to Ryan, but I don't think he's got enough to get up there, and he's going to have to get up by the door of Isaac. And
all right, we're back live, Daytona International Speedway. I said it feels like network TV today here with all the little breaks here, but less than 5 laps to go. Just as we left it with these top 4 single file, can Isaac Johnson bring the Daytona 500 checkered flag home? Can he use the benefit of his father, Ryan Johnson, currently 1 lap down in the 5th position? Can he assist his son Isaac to victory lane? They got 2 hungry competitors just behind. The 6 of Mark DeCenza, the 43 of Rick Bisconner. They've been trying to make that outside lane happen, guys, but now a little less than 3 laps remaining. Can the move pay off? They're racing toward turn 1.
A lot of contact with the bumper of the 6 and the 59. Looks like DeCenza trying to move the 59 of Ryan Johnson out of the way, trying to break up the run, do anything he can to get himself an advantage. See a little bit of lap traffic, 59 moving about just a little bit. I don't know that the 6 is too happy with Ryan. They had a little bit of contact through the trial, but last time, or a couple laps ago, they went through there. Not sure that he's too happy with him, but they're going to try to use this lap car to their advantage to get as much of a run as they can. Not really going to do any benefit. Waiting for Bisconner to get on the bumper of the 6. He's going to make the move now. Got to run. Going to try to pull up to the door of the 59. Don't know if he's going to be able to get there completely. He's at his quarter panel. They're certainly trying. 59 little all over the apron just a little bit, guys. We're coming down. Just complete a lap 197. We're a lap 198 of 200 as they dive down into turn 1 here, Phil. More contact between the 6 and the 59. That's going to hurt their run big time. 6 is going to drop back down behind the 43. See if maybe Bisconner can do anything to try and get a run on these guys and challenge for the lead with Isaac Johnson out front in the 72.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to have to put it back in line and form it up. The 43 going to go back to the outside now. Do they have enough time to do it? They're in turn number 3. Isaac and Ryan going to, peek out to a really good advantage. The 43 trying to drop back and pick up the help of DeCenza and the 6, but they're losing precious time there, Todd, as I believe we're going to be 2 to go at the line.
The popsicle sticks in the air 2 more times around the Daytona International Speedway. It is Isaac Johnson leading them with the 59 running in that second spot. 59 running in the second spot, helping the 72. He is 1 lap down to the rears. The 43 now using a draft. Look at the momentum by the 43. He has got one whale of a run on the 59. Is he going to be able to pull out a line here down the back straightaway? Wow. What a run down the back straightaway for the 43 of Bisconner. He just stayed right there in line. No, that's going to kill his momentum. Maybe we're waiting for DeCenza. They're going to have one more lap here as we're getting ready to come back to the start-finish line. White Silk will be in the air down through the triangle here. One more trip around the speedway.
One more time around. The white flag is in the air. Can Isaac Johnson, with help of his father Ryan, parade this thing around and take home the Daytona 500? The William Clay there, Earl Clay Trophy there in victory lane. Isaac got it peaked to the low side. Ryan in tow, the 43 of Bisconner, trying to make that run happen at the outside. He's can't going to make anything of that. The 6 of DeCenza is there as well. They're in the backstretch, Joe Allen. Do they have enough time to make that run to the checkered flag?
Well, the 43 of Bisconner pulls out. He's at the door of the 59, going to really have to pinch through 3 and 4 here to keep the momentum up. 59 all over the apron. The 6 is all over the bumper of the 43. They keep the momentum. Isaac Johnson looking up towards the top just a little bit. He's going to stay with his father on the bottom. The 43 is going to try. He's going to try to get to the door. Don't think they're going to have enough. The 72 Isaac Johnson's going to hold on. He's going to end up winning the event. 72 Isaac Johnson wins the Daytona 500 at FSB Racing. Just ran out of time. Gotta wonder, guys, if maybe the 43 and the 6 make that change a little bit sooner. They might have been able to propel themselves up there. The 6 was all over the bumper. They tried their best, but just couldn't best the duo of the Johnsons down on the bottom.
No, could not indeed, and it's going to be Isaac Johnson picking up the checkered flag. He's going to go to victory lane in the Daytona 500 over at FSB Racing, the first trip for DRL Network here to FSB. Rick Bisconner came up just short. He's going to finish up in the second spot. Mark DeCenza will finish up third. Ed Finley fourth, and Ryan Johnson 1 lap down. He'll finish up fifth. 6 through 10, Brad Otto, Steve Weber, Leo Kelly, Jim Christopher brings it home ninth, and Troy Higgins, he's going to finish up in the 10th spot today. Nick Fleck will finish 11th. Scott Schroyer 12th. Jeff Hale 13th. Dennis Balzer 14th. And Bill Martino rounded out our field of 15 this afternoon. A tremendous race indeed there. The Daytona 500, over at FSB, the Daytona International Speedway. It was a long race indeed. It certainly hasn't come without its share of hiccups today, Todd Stanton. But the 72, using that perfectly, bringing it down to victory lane.
Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs. What if they mounted that charge a little bit earlier on in the going? What if the number 6 of Descenza did not have contact made with a 59? Maybe the momentum would have shifted just a little bit earlier. But taking down the win, not to steal anything from Isaac Johnson though. Isaac Johnson taking home the win here this evening at the Daytona 500 here at FSB Racing. He's won quite a few races this week. I almost thought I heard down in the garage he's won 4 races this week, make it now number 5 here. And this is one of those long endurance races, and this is tough to do. One of these tough races to do. But Isaac Johnson taking down the win, and Ryan right there pushing his son to that win.
All right, guys, so we're going to move into the post-race show for the Daytona 500. We'll see if we can't catch up with our top 3 finishers. I'm going to throw it down to Mr. Joe Allen. I believe you've got 3rd place, Mark Descenza. So, Joe, down to you.
Yes, I do. Down here in the number 6 pit stall, Mark just climbing out of the car. Long event here, the Daytona 500 over at the FSB Racing. Mark, long race, slowed by, I think, 2 or 3 cautions. So you guys were out there for a long time under green flag conditions. Definitely a race of attrition. Looks like you guys just ran up a little bit short. Had to try and best the duo of the Johnsons down on the bottom. Just couldn't get enough momentum up on the top side to really do anything with it. Tell us about your run this afternoon, bud.
Yeah, I had a couple close calls, but congratulations to Isaac. Yeah, I knew once his brother was there that 2-on-2, it's hard to pass high, but it was long. But it was fun.
It seems like the 43 of Bisconder just had a hard time staying glued to your bumper to be able to get up there and push you up to the door of Isaac. I noticed once you got mired back there after a little bit of contact with Ryan down on the bottom, you got up behind the 43 and got glued to his bumper and pushed him up past Ryan, almost got to the quarter panel of the 72. So looks like maybe if you just could have the 43 stick to your bumper, you guys might have been able to do something a little more than what you were able to, but still, either way, a fantastic run. You guys put on a hell of a show here this afternoon. And tell us about it. I mean, was it pretty intense out there? It looked like you guys were, at least for the first half of this race, when most of you guys were all together glued in packs, you guys were racing like it was 15 laps to go for the first 120 laps or so.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. A lot of cars wobble a lot in the draft there when you get side by side to get a bunch of them. But, it was, it definitely kept you on your toes and, people going inside, outside. It was with the cars moving around a lot. It was, it definitely made you pay attention every lap.
All right, Mark. Well, from one guy who drives the 6 to another, congratulations on your podium finish tonight. 3rd place for this long Daytona 500 at FSB Racing. But I'm going to hand the mic over to you real quick. We're going to open the airwaves. Go ahead and thank all your friends and family that are out there watching the event this afternoon, the sponsors that helped you get here, and anybody else that you'd like to thank live here on DRTV.
First, I'd like to thank you guys for putting this on, FSB Racing, Isaac and Ryan Johnson for getting this race together. These are a lot of fun, and FSB Racing, best place to race in the world. But good job, guys.
All right, guys. Well, that is our 3rd place finisher, driver of the number 6. That's Mark Descenza. Mark, congratulations again, bud. But Phil, I'm going to throw it down to you. I believe you've caught up with our 2nd place finisher, Rick Bisconder.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, how are you?
And anytime you can run down to a Dallas Cowboys Dodge Charger and find Rick Bisconder, it's a great thing. Rick, great run, man. Just fell just a bit short there from putting that thing in victory lane. But what were you thinking of those closing laps? You guys trying to make that run on the outside to make that thing a good run. You gave it a great try, but came up just a bit short.
Yeah, I had a good pusher behind me, but we just never could get there.
Now tell us what's going through your mind there. We were talking about 15 laps to go. I mean, you guys got in that, that single file formation. You had Isaac and his dad Ryan there right behind him, and then you and Mark trying to hook up. Did you guys think you could make that run happen, or how many laps did you think that run was going to take to complete? Did you guys have a plan formulated, or were you guys just going by the seat of your pants at that point?
Pretty much seat of my pants there. I'm not a teammate with Mark, so my own radio channel.
Well,
I figured Ryan and his son would be really tough. Worked out great. Anyway, I take a 2nd place here anytime.
Well, Rick, once again, congratulations, and you got to tell us about this paint scheme, man. A Dallas Cowboys Dodge Charger. I know something Joe and I certainly really enjoyed looking at today. So, From one fellow Cowboys fan to another, man, good job. That car
Hey,
is really,
thank you.
really nice.
Appreciate it. Good job, Isaac.
All right. Well, Rick, one more time. I'm going to give you the microphone one time. I want you to thank all your friends, your fans, your sponsors, or anybody that's responsible for allowing you to bring that 43 out on the speedway this afternoon.
I thank my whole team, the guy that painted my car, Jeff Hell. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Lori, and that's about it. Fun race. Thank you guys for the broadcast.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's Rick Biscana bringing the Dallas Cowboys Charger today, home in that second spot, but falls one spot short, and we're going to find out how that celebration is going to be in Victory Lane there, Rich Pat, and I believe you've caught up with a very, very happy Isaac Johnson in Victory Lane.
Yes, I have. I made my way down here to Victory Lane here in Daytona, Florida. What a great weather day, and I'm standing next to the race winner today, Isaac Johnson. Isaac, one heck of a race, one heck of a finish, man. How do you feel?
That was awesome. It was really cool that my dad was able to push me to it. I've been close in this race before, and this is awesome. I'm glad I was able to get it.
Yeah, I hear that. And again, congratulations. I want you to give the race fans out there watching you live on TV, give them an idea of what it's like to have to endure 500 miles around this track. I mean, you guys only had like 2 or 3 cautions to rest. It was knuckle to knuckle, flag to flag racing basically all day long. How are you feeling right now? Are you tired? And explain to them what you go through in a race this long.
I'm a little sore. My hands are cold. It's kind of cold in here. My brake pedal from where my left foot was just sitting on the brake, my foot's kind of stiff, but I could do another one if you guys want me to.
There you have it. That's Isaac. Always got a good sense of humor. And you know, you can't say anything without your dad there helping you. Your dad was just in the right position and, you know, trying to keep you in check, trying to keep them guys off you. And you had 2 fighters behind you trying to get up there. Did you feel any pressure, or did you guys stick to your plan and just carry it out?
Well, we decided that we wanted to short pit whenever I sent Ed Finley a whisper and asked if he'd short pit with us, because I figured that'd be the best way to give myself an opportunity to win the race. And I dropped back a little bit, trying to save some fuel, and it so happened he was in front of me from where I got back in line at. So we planned the short pit, and we did, and it just ended up he was behind me at the right time, and he was able to push me to the win, which is really.
All right. Well, there you have it. We're going to go ahead and. Well, there you have it. Thought I had a radio check there for a second, and I wasn't getting through to you, Isaac. But we're going to give the mic to you one more time. The floor is all yours, sir. Congratulate who got you here, and big thanks to your family, friends, and all that. And congratulations on the race again, buddy. The floor is yours.
Well, I'd like to say hey to John Palmer. He's out there watching. I know he's watching. Thinks he wasn't able to make it today, but he was the last year's champion, and I'm glad we run on the same team almost everywhere we go, and glad I was able to put it in the victory lane.
All right, well, there you have it, race fans. Your race winner today, Isaac Johnson. Guys, back up to you in the booth. What a race today.
Oh, what a race indeed, and it was just fantastic for us for the first time to come over to FSB. And you know, Joe, first trip over for all of us. I know you're the newest member of the team, but you got to applaud these guys for the quality of racing today. They all did a great job, and you know, for the most part, a very, very clean race today. Very minimal caution, very high speeds, and you know, for maybe having 4 cars at the end of it there at the end, it certainly did not lack for drama, and it certainly was a good time for all of us.
Oh, I'm more than pleased with the product that they put on. I mean, first time I've ever witnessed any of the guys at FSB race. First time we've all kind of been over here. They do their membership deals a little bit differently over here, but you know what? You get what you pay for, and I applaud them. To run a 500-mile race at Daytona, only have 2 or 3 cautions. I think it was 2, but I heard it was 3 earlier. I don't quite remember. 2 or 3 cautions. to run as aggressive as those guys were running at the beginning of the event and go for as long as they did under green flag conditions. I mean, 3 and 4 wide racing at some points. I mean, you have to give these guys, a round of applause. They did an awesome job out there. I know the viewers were stoked. I mean, we had the active chat box that some of these fans of FSB racing came out and participated all race long, even through some of our commercial breaks that we'll call them. I mean, it was just fantastic. A great group of guys, and I look forward to hopefully coming out and working more with these guys, putting more races on display for these guys. And you know what? It was a great product. I'm more than happy and more than pleased with how this came out and the end result with it this afternoon.
Oh, for certain, no doubt. A tremendous trip over here, a success. Tech issues aside, today we certainly had our fair share of those as well, but I don't think we did much as far as missing any of the action whatsoever today. I think we missed one caution replay, but it was something to see for certain. But Todd, it was a great day. It's been a long day indeed, but we've been so busy here at Daytona over the last couple of weeks, and what better way to accumulate here, the residency. We finally get the check out of Daytona. I know you're Daytona'd out. I think all of us are Daytona'd out. We're ready to get to something different, and I think the next live trip out for us here, Thursday night, we go over to Hobo Racing once again. We return over there and do some Whelen modified short track action. I know I can't wait to get back to the short tracks and get off the super speedways. It feels like we've been down here forever.
It definitely does feel like we've been down to Daytona forever, but I always like Daytona week, and then at the end of the week, you always like any other thing. Want to move on to the next greatest endeavor and greatest race. And I'm a short track guy myself, so I'm going to come into my own at that Hobo Racing league and see some of the short track racing at its finest. But nothing. I love Daytona. I really do. I've had a great week here, great couple of weeks as a driver myself, and we've seen a lot of great broadcasts at Daytona. Puts on a good show. So until we meet again, Daytona. That's pretty much what I say.
Yeah, till we meet again, Daytona indeed. Well, on behalf of all of us here at DRTV, a special thanks to all of our friends at FSB for a great time today. And I think we'll be back here live once again for another installment of DRL Live tomorrow night. If you can believe it, tomorrow, already Monday. It seems the weekend has just flown completely by. So we'll be back on the airwaves tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, another edition of DRL Live. And, of course, our next broadcast for our flagship DRTV on the DRL Network, Thursday night. Hobo Racing, the Thompson Speedway. Cannot wait to see some open modified action there on Thursday night. So for Rich, for Todd, for Joe, my name's Phil Lacasse. We'll see you next time with another installment of DRTV, the best in sim race television. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow night.